Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Off the Ropes proudly presents to you the co-host tag team champions of the world. You've got the hardcore superstar, Josh Rayner. You've got the clown prince of destruction, John Maid. We are Off the Ropes, and welcome to our show. Josh, how you doing this week, bro?
Now that's what I call an intro, dude. Love it. Love it. Love it. I'm doing pretty damn good. Excited to talk. It's been a bit. You know,
Yes.
we haven't done an episode in a bit. We did that SummerSlam watch along, but we haven't actually done a regular episode in a bit. So I'm happy to be back talking some wrestling. How about you?
For those who aren't following what we're doing outside of Off the Ropes, Josh and I started a second podcast. It's called Last Call at McLaren's, where we discuss and follow along with the How I Met Your Mother series. So that's kind of become another priority for us. So we do apologize for the lack in Off the Ropes content, but we are back and we are going to fucking blow your minds today because I'm doing great. I am pumped up. I am feeling the power of the Warriors.
The Warrior. You know what? It's funny because we do have a story about that later on. We'll get to it later.
We do. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, that's not all that's exciting for today. We've got some breaking kayfabe. We've got some great stories. And you know what I've got, Josh?
What do you got?
I've got the power in my hands.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
That's all right. We are going to hurt some I went wrong on that one. We are going to hurt some things. We are going to heal some things. And we're going to talk business.
That we are. And, I mean, what better type of business is to talk than some breaking kayfabe? That's right.
Hell yeah.
This is the part of the show where we talk the news roaming around the world of wrestling. We pick out some stories. You know, it's probably not going to be everything that's going on because there's a lot of shit.
I mean, there is a lot of shit going on in the world of wrestling, man.
There's always a lot. I'm always like, oh, what story should I choose? We can't have 20 stories. That's way too much shit. So I try to whittle it down.
If we wanted to bore people, we could have 20 stories.
We could, but that's not what we do here anymore. We don't do that.
No. We're trying to get away from boring people.
That's very true. So we're gonna start things off with some AEW news. We have a few stories there. So recently, we saw Daniel Bryan, now going by his real name, Bryan Danielson, enter the world of AEW. And he had a match against Kenny Omega recently, which resulted in a time limit draw, something you do not see very often.
Not often at all.
Yeah, this happened at AEW's Dynamite Grand Slam. And apparently Kenny Omega says there's not going to be a rematch. Whether that is how it kind of all plays out is another story. But I'm interested, John, to hear your thoughts on all of this, on the fact that their match ended in a draw in the first place and didn't actually have a winner. So what are your thoughts on that?
I'm not disappointed by it because the match itself was a 5-star stellar match. Like, it really was a hard hitter. And I apologize now because I'm literally just going to call him Brian because I haven't quite adapted from Daniel Bryan to
I will
Bryan
probably
Danielson.
Still refer to him as D-Bry more often than not. I'm just saying. It's going to happen, guys.
I got so used to Sherry because my sister watches Total Divas and everything, and then the whole Bella's offshoot. So she just called him Brian, so I'm going to call him Brian because it seems pretty fucking simple to understand.
Yeah.
So Bryan and Omega put on one hell of a match. Either way you want to look at it, coming down to the time limit or not. But AEW is smart for doing it because it's kind of like when you take a DC Comics versus a Marvel Comics thing and you put two heroes against each other. You can't have a fucking clear winner sometimes. You have to mix it up and make both people look strong. And AEW doesn't usually give you false finishes or different types of endings like that. And I can't remember the last time I saw a match go to the time limit. And especially in AEW, I don't think they've done it yet. So to have Bryan and Omega fight for the title and have him go to the distance with him and all the shit they put each other through in that match. Wow.
Yeah.
I only saw highlights. I didn't get to see the whole match yet, but just from the reviews and stuff I've read on this match, damn.
Yeah. Now, obviously there are people out there disappointed that it didn't.
Oh yeah, so many people.
A clear winner. But like everything that you said, talking about, how it makes them both look strong. Neither of them come out looking weak. I think it was the best situation.
Even if you look at it in a business aspect, Kenny Omega's been doing the belt collector gimmick now for approximately 4 months at this point. Ish.
Sounds about right.
He just dropped the Impact title back to Christian Cage. You can't have him lose the AEW Heavyweight Championship at the exact same time, because then you're just going to make everything you've done with Kenny Omega beating all these people and the championship. And originally the plans were to have him fight Adam Page for the AEW Heavyweight Championship. Yeah. So, Adam Page's wife ended up having the baby. They sidelined those plans, brought, Bryan in when they did on choice to have him be a replacement. Yeah. And I don't think that he's a bad replacement at all. I still want to see Adam Page get his title shot, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Do you think that they will have a rematch with a clear winner at some point?
Yes, but I have a feeling it'll still be one of those moments where the Elite help him out, and as much as it'll be a clear win, it might have an asterisk next to it still.
Okay.
You figure you've now, with the debut of Bryan, you also got the debut of Adam Cole, and now you've got the Elite together again. You've got the Good Brothers, and you've got the Jackson Brothers, the Young Bucks. You've got Kenny Omega. You've got Adam Cole, and I'm just like, God, man, like this is. Yeah. I really hate that wrestling fans, and this is getting away from what you were talking about, but I hate that wrestling fans are really like WWE or AEW. People, just be fucking happy you're alive during a time in wrestling when you can have two companies competing head-to-head again, because you haven't seen this shit since WCW was in its prime and running the Monday Night Wars. Be happy that you can see your favorites in two different spots and have dream matches again where you're like, man, I'd really like to see Dolph Ziggler go up against that guy in AEW who kind of looks like him. And he has a similar name. It's like Ryan Namath, but they fucking look a lot alike.
It's true. It's true.
For those of you who don't understand that, Dolph Ziggler's real name is Nick Namath, and they're brothers. That's why they look alike. But yeah, I'm getting off what your original thing was. I think it was a smart decision to have a time limit, because then you can do like another stipulation match where even if they do a rematch because Adam Page isn't ready to come back, you can do an Iron Man match for 60 minutes, and you can even have that go to the fucking limit where one. And I don't want to see the quick falls. I want to see it where like it goes and then people start getting the falls at the end, and have it be like
I want the first 15 minutes to have 0 falls.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want falls right away because that's cool. I want to see a grueling fight to the 60 minutes, but have maybe even if you went the first half an hour with not one fall, but near falls.
Yeah. I get that.
Because both of those guys are at the top of their prime right now. Like, Bryan's not that old. Kenny Omega's definitely not that old.
Yeah. If you think about it, it's not uncommon to have a 20-minute main event match, with one pinfall at the end. So why can't they go minimum of 20 minutes before the first pinfall?
My point exactly.
It would make total sense. And then because they're continuing to go more and more, they're going to be tired, weaker. Of course, more pinfalls could then happen. It would make more sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't like this. Oh yeah, 3 minutes in, boom, somebody gets pinned. Well, if this was just a standard match, that match would be over.
And that's one of the psychology things that I miss is back in the day, they used to hammer it in on commentary that when you've been in a match for so long, kicking out takes stuff out of you. Like, you've got to realize you're fighting to get your shoulder up with a full-weighted guy on you, holding your shoulders down to pin you. So every kick out takes a little bit out of you.
Yep.
And I miss that part of the storytelling in wrestling because now it's, and I'm not trying to shit on
They
them.
lean too far into the color commentary.
Yeah, but I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the style of wrestling these days. Look at the Young Bucks. They don't sell shit.
Yeah.
It's super kick party. Oh, I've gotten my ass kicked for 20 minutes, but now I'm jumping off the ropes and flying here and doing this. They don't sell shit anymore.
Yeah, and it's not just them. It's the business overall.
It is the business overall. And I miss the storytelling side to the business. Yeah. Oh my God, I've gotten my arm worked over for 30 minutes. God damn. I'm going to try to hit this clothesline, and it's going to hurt me just as much as it's going to hurt him.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like... it's rare that you see them kind of work anything like that into a story for a match. And it's even more rare to see when they don't do it and they almost no-sell the injuries for it to make sense. We did actually get to see like something that made sense during the pay-per-view, which we'll talk about with Finn Balor. Because of the gimmick that he's doing, it worked. But any normal person, if they did that, it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the problem is, plenty of people still do that. They get, somebody gets power bombed, right? Oh, and they're down for maybe a minute, and then they do a kip up. And it's like, what? I could see you getting up after that minute or whatever, slowly. But a kip up, come on, guys. Like... the power of the audience is not that strong, and that's the thing. This is we're totally off topic, but that it is what it is. That's definitely something that they need to work on throughout the entirety of the wrestling business, in my opinion. So, and I agree. So I agree with you. I missed that as well. So we're gonna move on to our next story. Staying in the realm of AEW, obviously. AEW Dynamite is apparently moving to TBS in January, leaving TNT. However, Rampage will remain on TNT. John, what are your thoughts on this?
I don't hate it.
Yeah?
I think it's a smart move. I mean, they're both owned by the same people. So it's
Do you think that the TNT title will become the TBS title, or will the TNT title stay on Rampage?
I mean, honestly, I think it should not matter.
Okay.
I mean, the main show is called Dynamite.
I mean, I get that. Do you think they might just rename the title?
Hell no.
Okay.
I mean, the way I look at it, it's not named the TNT title because of the show it's on. The way I look at it is, it's an explosive title. It's an explosive...
I guess, and whether or not they, being on... I mean, you said that, like you said, they are owned by the same company.
Yeah.
So it probably wouldn't matter that much if they're referencing... because there was a story that I was going to talk about. I wound up cutting it about in the WWE section about how Vince and apparently Fox are a little bit at odds, and one of the things is because of them referencing other networks like USA.
Yeah.
On during was it SmackDown that is on Fox, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just like. Yeah, I mean, but that's their product, and that's where Raw is. So
well,
of course
that's not
they're
the only problem we're having right now.
Oh yeah, I know, but because we're talking about the network things.
Yeah.
So like that was a thing, but yeah, if they're owned by the same company, it shouldn't really matter.
I mean,
but I'm
curious. Rebranded to something small like the television championship or something.
I think that would be cool to bring back the idea of the television championship. You know what I mean? That hasn't been around a thing for a very long time.
No, it was a WCW thing.
Exactly. So like, and yes, it will if that happens, it will obviously draw WCW more WCW comparisons.
Obviously,
but you know what? Who cares? It really
so they can make it something totally different. Like I said, I personally don't think it should be rebranded. I think they should leave it the TNT title and just be like, the main show's flagship was Dynamite. It had nothing to do with the fact that the show was on TNT. TNT, Dynamite, boom, big explosions.
I get that. But,
I mean,
but what do you think about their flagship show being the one that's moving? Instead of like taking Rampage and moving it over there, they're moving their big show over to.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't see any issues with it right now. I think, more people get TBS than people get TNT.
That's probably true. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a smarter move. More people can watch the show. They're trying to make sure people can maintain up with the product.
Yeah, they're not like Impact, who
Plus,
barely have any idea what channel they're on half the time.
I know that this is kind of, again, getting off the topic. I like the fact that they're moving a show to a different network because, like WWE, they'll have different shows at different places.
Yeah.
But unlike WWE, where you can watch Raw and you got to watch SmackDown, you can watch an episode of AEW, not have to follow every week to week because you know what's going on and you can follow shit from one show and not have to watch the other show because they're slightly different.
Yeah.
With AEW, it's so story told that it's like Raw bleeds into SmackDown and SmackDown's being told on Raw. It's like, fucking stop doing that. You wanted to separate brands? Separate your fucking brands then.
Yeah. Yeah, and we have stories about that. We have a topic that will dive into some of these reasons as to why you kind of get the ability in AEW to just watch something because it's TV focused, and we'll talk about that in one of our topics. But yeah, I think it'll be an interesting move. It's funny because the logo, like the title card for AEW on TBS, it's very similar looking to I mean, I'm sure AEW's. Pretty sure AEW's was first, but it's got that colorfulness the way the new NXT one is, which I think is hilarious. Because I remember seeing when they dropped the NXT one, I remember people kept saying like they're ripping off AEW. I'm like, it's just colors, guys. Like, come on, it's just colors. Get over it.
I mean, and this is what upsets me about like the whole there being more product than WWE now, because so many people, they've been doing it since day one. Oh, AEW is the new WCW. Oh my God, WWE is trying to compete with AEW. Well, first off, no shit, they're trying to compete with AEW because AEW right now is like, okay, how do I explain this?
I don't know. You tell me.
I have a great metaphor, but I don't think it quite resonates with most people. It'll resonate with you.
Okay.
The WWE is the fingers, and AEW is the pulse. And here's WWE, far from the pulse, jammed straight up the public's asses. Gee, would you like a chocolate-covered pretzel?
It's true.
I mean, AEW knows what they're doing right now. Yes, they're bringing in a lot of former WWE guys. Yes, they're bringing in some old-timers to help fill out the cards and help train some of these new kids. But guess what? AEW, even though I don't completely agree with where like the ratings are saying they are, AEW has a far superior product right now than the WWE. If you can't appreciate that, then stop listening to our podcast because that's the truth.
Yeah.
And that's just how it works.
But that's the thing. It's like, just because that's the truth doesn't mean I like WWE less. You know what I mean?
And that's it. I can respect that the WWE, they're floundering right now. They are a fish out of water and they know it. And they're trying to make
changes. 20 years since they've had real competition?
Yeah.
And I don't think Vince knows what to do about that anymore. You know what I mean?
and that's
He's
it.
Like, we've been the top dog for 2 decades. Wait, we might not be the top dog, or like there's somebody who's real close at least. That's new territory for him now because it's been so long.
And you're directly on the head with that. They beat out WCW in 2001. They acquired WCW then. Yeah. They buried every WCW guy they ever could. Didn't book some of the talent that they should have, and then made fun of the ones that they did have.
Yeah.
Shane Helms had a great fucking gimmick. And then they made him the Hurricane. And what did he do? He took the Hurricane gimmick and he owned it and made it his own. And he made himself a certified fucking superstar.
Yep.
Other people like Booker T came into the business and they got fucking buried.
It's true.
Okay? It's not deniable. You can't say, well, Booker T, no. Booker T should have went over Triple H in 2002, 2003, and he didn't.
Yeah.
Instead, Triple H held on to his precious World Heavyweight Championship and buried a talent who should have went over. Happens. Yeah. Sting came into the company, finally fucking ate his pride, came into the WWE, and Vince McMahon went, I can finally rub his nose in the fact that I have his contract. And he had Triple H go over him at WrestleMania. Did he need that win? No. Did Sting need that win? No. But you could have made a proper story out of Sting being in the WWE. Yep. And it happens for so many other guys. One of the guys, which we're going to talk about later, is Chris Kanyon. Kanyon deserved a better fucking push than he got in the WWE. And there are so many other guys that have deserved better, and they don't get the opportunities. And guess what? AEW realizes that kind of shit, and they're giving these people opportunities. It's not about always being the heavyweight champion. You can have a great story being told about you and look strong, and you don't have to have a piece of gold around your waist to do it. But every one of you fucking fans are like, WWE, AEW, just respect the fucking product and enjoy it, or stop watching it. Stop being crybaby bitches and just enjoy wrestling as a whole.
It's so true, man. It is so
I'm sorry. True. I mean, like, it's really fucking annoying.
I feel like this should have been here. Let me tell you something, brother. Because that was heated, and that was only the second story of the night. We got another story in AEW. We're gonna roll on into it. Apparently, AEW reportedly looking to add a second women's title in the near future, and it will, according to rumors, be known as the TBS Championship. So, John, what are your thoughts? I think this is awesome, to be honest.
I have no issues with that because they have a full women's roster.
Yeah, man.
And they have so many women that they can't even, like, utilize them all on TV.
It's so true. That's why I'm glad that they have a second show now. You know, you can really start utilizing stuff like that.
I mean, in theory, they've got 4 shows.
That is true.
Just 2 of the shows are, I mean, one of the shows specifically is to bring in indie talent and allow people to see that there is, like, this potential indie talent that could come into AEW.
Yeah.
And then AEW Dark, I mean, it'd be great to start seeing some titles on there, like, represented. You don't have to lose them or anything, but, I mean, it'd be nice to see them there.
They could just have their own, like, Dark Championship, you know what I mean?
They should have a Dark Championship.
That'd be kind of neat. It would just all be all black. I don't know. That'd be kind of cool.
That would be pretty badass.
I'm excited to at the prospect of them because they're growing, and that's what I like to see.
If you were booking right now, who would you make the inaugural TBS champion?
I mean, I feel like it would probably have to be somebody like a Britt Baker, probably.
Put both titles on her?
Yeah, man. I mean, think about it. Think about how impactful that would be. She just comes out, boom, I'm taking both these titles. Who wants some? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It pushes her higher up that level, and it would force any of the other women to kind of up their game to see, okay, which one of y'all can actually beat her now?
Fair enough. I mean, Britt Baker is a pretty dominant force. You know, I will give you that.
I will always go for Britt Baker, I think. I think you know that. That's
I'm gonna say if I could book it in my image, I would go with a Buffalo girl that we both know and love, Bunny.
Yeah.
Put the title on the Bunny.
On the Bunny. That would be cool because, like, they don't do a whole lot with her.
Nope.
You know, and I think that would be all of a sudden, boom, out of nowhere, the Bunny wins a fucking title.
I mean, first off, we both know what she can do in the ring.
Oh, yeah.
And AEW has the potential to push her and let her be that. And then you put the tag team titles on the Butcher and the Blade.
Yeah. I think that would be a great way to push her character into less of a, like, almost managerial kind of role, you know, and really allow the fans to see what she can do and get
Yeah.
her name out there. I think that actually would be a great idea to do that. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot, John. I like it a lot. All right, so that's what I got for AEW news. We're going to head into some WWE news now.
I love double E.
Double E. I didn't see really anything about Impact, so Impact's been quiet as far as news goes. I don't know what's going
I
on
mean,
over there.
besides the firing of Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, Tommy Dreamer put some feet in mouths,
I mean,
when it came to that plane ride from hell episode of Dark Side of the Ring, which we'll talk a little bit about those 2 episodes in a bit. But yeah, so we got some news on the WWE front. Apparently, Grand Metalik released from the WWE.
yeah, man, that's kind of sad.
Yeah. Any overall thoughts? Do you think he's gonna wind up in one of the other two? Do you think he's going to branch out somewhere else, like maybe a New Japan or
honestly,
Japan or
I
something?
see him just going back to AAA for a little while.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if he really would go to New Japan, but wouldn't be a bad thing for him either.
Yeah.
But I know he's huge in like the AAA area.
Yeah, I could see that. I like Grand Metalik. You know what I mean? I enjoyed watching him do his thing. I used to like playing him in the video games and stuff.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. But WWE, again, they got their hands on guys like him, and they had Lince Dorado, and they had Kalisto. And then they're like, well, we got these 3 Spanish guys that are clearly really good at what they do. What do we do with them?
Yeah.
Should we put them in a program with one another? Nah, let's make a tag team out of the 3 of them, and let's really make fun of them. We'll call it a Lucha House Party? Yeah, that sounds good. Let them go out there and rile up the crowd and go, Lucha, Lucha, Lucha. What the fuck is wrong with people?
It's their new version of the Mexicools. Think about it.
Yeah.
It's like,
man, that would have been a great feud back in the day.
Because they kind of made the Mexicools out to be a bit of a joke, really.
Oh, they did.
They turned into jobbers eventually. And that's essentially what they did with Lucha House Party. And it was a bummer because I like
the lame-ass theme they gave the Mexicools? We aren't Mexicans. We are Mexicools.
Mexicools. I love the Mexicools, by the way.
Well, don't get me wrong. I loved the Wandeers. Thought that was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, they took what they were given and they fucking ran with it, man. I give them that.
I mean, it's
they did a
3
good job.
great wrestlers, man.
Yeah.
Super Crazy, Psychosis, and Hoovy are 3 amazing Spanish wrestlers.
Absolutely.
And the fact that they were labeled by their heritage is fucking shitty.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. All right, so we talked a little bit, I kind of teased it a little bit. We talked about stuff with Dark Side of the Ring happening, some Ric Flair stuff that happened as well. And you talked about, or you mentioned the Ultimate Warrior earlier. And so apparently WWE has replaced the little opening woo at the beginning of their signature opener with the Ultimate Warrior. So John, what are your thoughts on Ric Flair being replaced in his signature?
I mean, with everything going on with him lately, I mean, it's not hard to believe. I mean, you go back to the last actual episode we recorded, I talked about the whole Ric Flair on the plane thing, and somebody had snapped a supposed picture of Ric Flair doing some cuddling,
doing something that people claim Batman doesn't do.
Yes. And it's you start there, and then you get Dark Side of the Ring, the whole plane ride from hell, and then it's okay, Ric Flair's in some shady territory, and it's
I mean, if I believe what the flight attendant said, mainly because Rob Van Dam corroborated it in that episode.
Yeah.
And if it hadn't been for that, it could have gone either way. I'm I could see it being that, but I don't know. But the fact that RVD's like, I saw him having her pressed up against the wall, trying to get her to touch his dick and all that stuff, and I'm just like,
well, the thing that kind of the other part of it that kind of like really collaborated, the thing that solidified it for me was the fact that the flight attendant didn't exactly know who Dustin was. But she's like, some guy came back and like grabbed him, and she's like, I think his name was like Gold something. Yeah. And like Rob Van Dam was like, yeah, Gold or Dustin goes back there and just pulls him off of her, and like, like first off, I'm gonna sidetrack the whole Ric Flair thing for a second, and I'm gonna say I feel like shit going back and watching a lot of this Dark Side of the Ring stuff, because there's a lot of stuff that, like, I was young when that happened. That was like way back in like the 90s, and I'm like, I was in like 9th, 10th grade. I didn't know nothing.
The plane ride.
Yeah,
I think that was early 2000s because Brock Lesnar was on the plane.
Oh yeah, you're right. So it would have been like 02.
02, 03.
Even then though, we were just graduating high school. We were just 18, 19.
Yeah,
I wasn't fucking smart mark at the time to realize that Dustin was going through divorce and dealing with drug and alcohol problems.
Yeah,
I just thought he was this guy on TV who had an eccentric personality and was doing his thing. To realize that that man was hurting the way he was and still performing for us fans, that is a phenomenal feat. And we are lucky that people like Dustin didn't go the route of some of the other superstars and kill himself.
It's true.
I mean,
yeah, we'll get into some of that.
Yeah, but going back to the whole Ric Flair side of it, to have that kind of thing happen, and I mean, even RVD made himself a little sketchy in that episode because he brings up the whole, people drug people, and that thing just kind of happens.
Yeah, well, I'm like, he was saying it in the past tense, but yes, he made it sound like it wasn't that big of a deal. Oh, it was just something that happened. I'm like, oh,
and that's it. He makes it sound like it's no big deal. Like, yeah, it happened, and I'm like, what? Like,
yeah, because then like even Jim Ross was like, never leave your drink unattended.
And that's the other thing. Like, they're joking about how people used to fucking H-bomb people. You're fucking roofing somebody. That's not funny. You don't know how somebody's body is going to react to that, let alone back in that time, people like Hall who were fighting substance problems, or Dustin who was clearly battling drug and alcohol problems. You H-bomb somebody like that, you don't know how the drug you hit them with is going to react to anything else in their body. So you're lucky you're not fucking just drugging people and killing them.
Yeah. And they even say that they would do it to women.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, this is some messed up shit, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because like even at the end of the episode, they're like, like, oh, we landed. We weren't 100% sure Hall was alive or dead.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
He's one of the top stars in the WWE at the time because the NWO angle was running. And you're going to tell me you don't know if this dude's fucking alive?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Like, we were like trying to we were wheeling him through the airport, and we were just like, oh, he's inebriated.
No, they had said something like
he has a condition.
That he has a condition, yeah. And I'm just like, wow, I don't think that shit would fly anymore.
And I'm just like, God damn.
Yeah. But I feel like we keep going back to this stuff. We keep going back, and I like it. We're gonna have a good conversation when it gets to it, even though a lot of it's already been talked about.
Yeah.
So our next story, there has been some apparently backstage details on if the WWE will change the brand split rule, because the draft is coming up this Friday and next Monday.
Yep.
Is the brand split, and there are rumors that they may get rid of the actual brand split, like the division between the talent, because we've recently seen, we've recently seen like Big E and Bobby Lashley on SmackDown and stuff like that, and we saw like Roman and over on Raw, and so like they've been kind of doing that a little bit. And so the rumor is that, again, it's not confirmed or anything, is that they may wind up getting rid of the brand split again. Because this is something that has happened so many times. They split the brands, they merge them again. They split the brands, they merge them. It's gone back and forth so many times. What do you think about the possibility, though, of a unified brand again?
Kind of makes me wonder what they would do with the titles.
Yeah,
because if you merge all those titles, then you're ending lineage.
I don't think they would necessarily merge the titles. There would just be titles.
Fair. I mean, that could be interesting because it'd be almost like if somebody did like an open challenge, you might not know who's going to answer that challenge at that point. Then,
yeah, and technically, Roman Reigns is a SmackDown superstar, but he can pop over to Raw. You know,
I'd be okay with that.
Somebody from Raw could challenge him for the title. Okay,
it's kind of like the whole wild card thing, but a little bit better.
Yeah. I think it would be interesting. I don't know how useful these drafts are anymore because they're all staged anyways.
Yeah,
it's like,
and that's the thing. It's like it's not like the draft is an actual draft. It's a staged thing to shake up the talent. At this point they should just be like, look, we're moving so and so to this. We're moving so and so here. Stop acting like it's a fucking randomized draft and people don't know about it.
Yeah, and they used to be more fun back in the day.
It did.
They'd make them more interesting and fun and stuff. And now I feel like they're boring. The last few that I've seen.
I mean, they used to be exciting because they used to make big productions about it. People were all in the backstage watching because they didn't know where they were going anymore. And first off, we knew they were still staged back then because you can't just uproot a superstar because they have traveling expenses and shit like that. And we get it. I mean, the smart people get it anyway. For those of the people who watch the show, it was exciting though, and it's there's no excitement in the draft anymore. It's literally like the last exciting thing that happened was Bray went to SmackDown and changed the Universal Championship from red to blue.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd like to see the brands go back together, but I just don't care about the actual draft.
Fair. I respect that.
I'll check it out. I'll look at the results. I don't know if I'll watch any of it, but I'll at least see what went down when it happens. But yeah, I've stopped caring about the actual drafts over the last several times that they've done them.
No, I get it.
All right, and our last story for breaking kayfabe, Alexa Bliss might be taking an extended leave from the WWE. With a rumored character change coming after. John, thoughts on her taking a break if that happens, and them repackaging her?
I mean, it makes sense after Extreme Rules.
It's true.
I mean, I heard she was taking an extended break. It doesn't actually really say for what purpose.
Yeah.
So I was assuming it had something to do with a small repackaging because I know they're really. I mean, WWE's pulled all mention of Bray. They're not selling his merchandise and shit anymore.
They pulled they pulled the Lily doll off of the site even before the pay-per-view.
So they're probably really trying to get away from everything Bray side of this angle.
Yeah, which makes sense. I think that's also why they brought the Demon back for Finn Balor.
Probably
to kind of fill that spot, and so it would make sense if they're just going to try and phase her out. And I'll be interested to see what happens with her because I love Alexa Bliss. And I mean,
even if she keeps
utilized.
Something in that, I like what they were doing with her, but maybe start to drop some of the supernatural shit of it.
Yeah.
And have her just be
do more of like what Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott were doing, that kind of a punk gimmick, something more like that.
I mean, she calls herself her finisher is called Twisted Bliss, and she was modeling herself after Harley Quinn for a while anyway. It wouldn't be different for her to come out in a punkish, more goth style. I'd be down with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Just drop the whole supernatural.
I mean,
thing. I like the idea of that.
You know what's really funny about the women's division, and it's really. I don't know if people really stop and take a look at this. you've got every demographic covered in the women's division. You've got white women, black women, you've got Asian women, you've got Spanish women of all different types. And then you can even break that down into subcategories. You've got your cheerleader girls like Julia Hart. You've got your punkish girls like Liv Morgan and Alexa Bliss. You've got your career girl wrestlers like Britt Baker, who legitify what she does, actually. And then you've got like steampunk, where like you get into Becky Lynch because, you know, she used to do the whole steampunk thing. And then
I so wish she would go back to that.
Oh, agreed. And then you've got your sci-fi girls like Ariel, and you know,
you got superhero.
You've got a superhero, and I mean, like you've got it all covered. So I mean, it's kind of badass. So I mean, Alexa Bliss might drop all the Bray Wyatt shit, but she doesn't have to get rid of like the gothic and like.
Yeah, that's true. Like no more creepy dolls, no more swing, all that stuff. Yeah, I could see that. I think that hopefully would the problem that I worry about is that with her having this kind of like based on Bray gimmick, she's gotten way more screen time than she did before. And I worry that what they take her off air, they repackage her, and she's going to get buried.
Yes, no, I 100% agree. Plus, I mean, even she said she's had the most fun with this gimmick than she's had most of her career.
Yeah.
And I mean, that really sucks because I know we refer to him as Bray a lot, but I'm actually going to refer to him as Wyndham in this instance. Wyndham really went out on a ledge to help her and bring her into this gimmick. And wherever WWE was going to go with the whole her turning on him at WrestleMania, it's here or there at this point. Nobody's ever really going to know because it never got to play out. But Wyndham really enjoyed having her, and she enjoyed working with him. One way or the other, it was great. You shit on the Fiend all you want, but it was a great gimmick.
That's true. So, all right, and that finishes up everything in the world of news. That's everything for Breaking Kayfabe, and you know what that means, John.
Hells yeah, I do.
Time for the main show. That's right. The main frickin' show is here. We got a lot of good topics to talk about, none of which are involve John's peeing habits. Just saying. For some
Listen, when you
funny
gotta go, you gotta go.
It's true. So for our first topic, it's something we've talked about like several times throughout this episode already.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd say we dive into a little bit of Dark Side of the Ring.
Hells yeah.
Yeah, so recently the show came back for the second half of their third season, starting off with the Plane Ride from Hell, and as well as a Chris Canyon episode. And I want to kind of chat a little bit. We haven't really talked a whole lot about these episodes with one another, so I wanted to chat about them. I know I watched both of them. I think you said you watched both of them, right?
I did indeed.
So let's dive in, John. Let's start off with Plane Ride. I know we talked a bit about it already.
We did.
Let's dive into a little bit more. What are your overall thoughts on Plane Ride?
I learned a lot of different stuff about superstars and things and politics, and
yeah, man.
Here's a big question I have for you, because I don't want to do a dissection of everything that happened.
Oh yeah,
if people haven't seen it, too bad for them. We're going to talk about it anyway.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. The first episode is on YouTube for free.
Oh yeah, most of them are on YouTube.
And I know that the second one somebody like recorded it or whatever. But I mean, even if you want like the crystal clear version of it, you can go onto the Vice app. They have like you can watch it a couple of episodes for free with their free passes or whatever. So I highly recommend that.
My main question for you, knowing that we've both watched the show, I'm hoping you have a small recollection of the events.
Yeah, I just watched it.
JR makes reference at one point that Vince McMahon told him, "You need to go back there and you need to be the one to put essentially the boots to asses and calm it down."
Jim Ross was in charge of all that stuff.
Yes, but that's not where my thing lies. Here's where my question lies. Do you think Vince McMahon was actually on that fucking plane?
Oh, honestly, I have my doubts,
I
mainly
have my
because they almost never reference him. And all this shit is happening, and you really gonna tell me that Vince McMahon ain't gonna get pissed off and come back there and tell everybody to
Thank
shut
you.
the fuck up or
Thank
something?
you.
Because they're literally like body slamming each other into walls and shit, into the fuselage
Hitting
of this
doors.
plane. Yeah, man. Like, I don't see Vince just sitting there like, it's fine. I just don't see that. Because
I don't see it either.
from everything I've heard about this dude, he's got a short temper. You know
Exactly.
what I mean?
I
And
watched this entire episode, and that was the first question I had at the very end of it. I was like, if Vince was on this plane, why the fuck didn't he stop so much of the damages? Like, granted, the Ric Flair situation aside, most of that could have been stopped by Vince McMahon putting his foot out there and being like, yo, guys, knock it the fuck off. And
like, listen, unless you want, if you want a job tomorrow, stop this shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Now, granted, I understand, aside from the sexual assault, Ric Flair doing Ric Flair things like walking around in his robe naked. I get shit like that. I've seen shit like that happen at shows. So I'm not miscondoning that at all. Because I understand when you were in a locker room or I can't say a plane because I've never been on a plane, but I know the hijinks that goes on backstage.
Yeah.
And I know. Like that.
And I'm not saying it should happen, but it does happen.
Like, prime example, no names will be mentioned, but I was once nut tapped by a certain superstar twice with his kendo stick while talking to a woman at a show.
That's true.
And am I saying it was appropriate? Fuck yeah, because it was funny. I'm not complaining about it, and I was the one who got nut tapped. Am I saying walking around in your robe is funny? Probably, as long as you're around just the guys. If they get offended by it, then you apologize. Doing the rest of the shit Ric Flair did, that is where it crosses a line and becomes unapologizable for, and you have to just fucking beat his ass for beating his ass. But some of the other shit, like guys wrestling themselves down to the ground and breaking seats, being disrespectful to, like, minus Scott Hall, because there's a slightly different circumstance to his situation on that plane.
Unfortunately, like, I understand like how it could happen. I wish that these guys had been better to one another.
Yes.
And held each other into a higher account, to be like, listen, you have a fucking problem and it needs to stop.
Yes.
Like, instead of just being like, oh, it's just Scott being Scott. You know what I mean? That's the attitude that they kind of had. It's just that's what we did back then.
And that's it. That being the mentality, like, it kind of upset me. And then that leads into the second episode too, because like, and I'll just kind of bridge the gap here. Unless do you want to talk about the plane ride yourself?
No, I mean, we talked about a lot of the plane rides.
We did
during the.
So I'm gonna kind of bridge this into the second episode. The whole mentality of like, oh, that's just the boys.
Yeah.
So getting into the second episode,
actually, that statement does bring up something that we touched on but didn't talk about for the plane ride one, and that was Tommy Dreamer.
Yes,
Tommy Dreamer over here, essentially saying that everything that Flair did, that he didn't do it or it was a misunderstanding, and I'm just like, dude, what the fuck? Come on.
Well, and that's one of the things that really pissed me off with Dreamer. He makes an explicit comment about, if it was so serious, how come she didn't seek legal counsel?
Yeah.
First off,
that's
how many fucking sexual assault victims don't step forward because, and this is just person to person, they know shit isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
She's a flight attendant.
We know all this happened, obviously. All these people saw this shit, okay? They know all this stuff. Yet nothing happened to Ric Flair. He was untouchable. And
that's it.
Nothing would have happened. Flair. I don't think anything would have happened.
But this is the part of it that really pisses me off. Tommy doesn't deny it happened.
No.
Not one bit is Tommy Dreamer like, this didn't happen.
Yeah, he's like, He's like, Ric Flair's the kind of guy that wouldn't do something like that. But he
Yeah.
never specifically says Ric Flair didn't actually do that.
Yeah. But then he goes, if it was so serious, how come she didn't seek legal counsel? Which, again, normal sexual assault goes unannounced, unattended to. And when it does, 95% of the time, the guy walks free or barely touched.
Yeah.
This is Ric fucking Flair.
Yeah.
The man who believed his hype at the time. He was the jet flying, limousine riding, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, space mountain. Woo! I'm still gonna woo. I'm still a Ric Flair fan, even though this happened. It sucks. Like, this sucks. This really diminishes his opinion or his value in my eyes.
Yeah.
And it sucks horribly because Ric Flair used to be one of those guys that I was like, I want to be like that when I step in the ring. I want to be the guy who can believe his fucking hype and think that I am the greatest.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, fuck him now. But I still value him as a wrestler. Just not his personal shit anymore. Because I, unlike most fans, can separate the business from the personal.
It's like Chris Benoit. It's like what he did at the end. I cannot condone that. But he unequivocally is still one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. But that's a whole different story.
It is.
But
so all that shit with Dreamer just really pissed me off because it's like Ric Flair was an untouchable person. He was Ric Flair. Mm-hmm. And even if it went to court, they're going to see her side versus his side. And then Vince McMahon's going to be like, well,
here's some money.
We can. Yeah, let's throw money at the situation.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all that it would be. And that happens all the fucking time. So I just wanted to make sure that we covered.
No, and I'm glad you reeled that back in because that, like I said though, the whole boys and that was the mentality leads into the second part of the second episode being Chris.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Chris Kanyon, because he felt so trapped in his life being gay because people then they weren't as open about it as they are today. And they talk about that in the episode about Kanyon. They talk about how today, you've got gays and straights and bis and transgenders, and it's just a different setting. And I know Chris called himself the innovator of offense, but really, he, as much as he didn't realize it, he opened the door for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, I know he didn't come out until after his firing from the WWE, and he really took offense by the whole Orlando Jordan being the first openly gay guy on TV. But it's not like people don't figure that shit out for themselves.
Yeah.
You can tell by someone's body, their body language, the people they hang out with, the way they hang out with people.
Yeah.
They addressed it in the episode a couple times where people would go up to James Mitchell and be like, "Oh, I think Canyon's, covering for something. I don't think he's straight." People know, man. It's not like it's a.
That's what makes me wonder about that whole Boy George thing, where they had him come out of a box, almost like a big closet, dressed as Boy George, and then get his ass beat. Are you telling me that nobody knew leading into this, and that wasn't part of what they were doing? I don't for a second believe that they're just like, oh yeah, this is a good storytelling device.
Right.
And
that's the thing. No. And it's there isn't a doubt in my mind, no matter how much people want to deny it, that somebody didn't hear something. And they talk about that in the episode too, where somebody might have heard something and this was their way of being like, well, if you're not going to tell us, we're going to punish you.
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly believe that. Yeah. Because it goes back to that, well, boys will be boys. Yeah. It's kind of like, I don't know.
Back then, the whole attitude was that, it was funny to do that. Gay characters or effeminate characters were made to be a joke. I mean, look what they did with Goldust. Luckily, Dustin was able to make that something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's what they did with it. It was more of a joke kind of a character. And it kind of rode that line of, oh, is this character supposed to be gay? Like, what is it? You know what I mean? And that's exactly what they would do.
It was actually because of Dustin that I learned the word
Billy and Chuck.
androgynous.
Wait, say that again?
I said it was actually because of Dustin that I learned the word androgynous.
Oh, yeah.
I had actually heard his gimmick one time back when he was doing like the wig wearing with like the extravagant robe, and he would do like the. I heard somebody use the word androgynous to describe it one time, and I still don't actually know what that means. But like, whenever somebody's like, "Oh, something's androgynous," that's kind of where my mind goes. I'm like, "Oh, it's Goldust."
Yeah. No, I get that. Okay, so androgynous means partly male, partly female in appearance, of indeterminate sex. That's exactly what they were going for.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I guess that really does describe Goldust.
Yeah. But yeah, getting back to what I was talking about, people like Goldust, they did what was it? Chuck and what was
Billy
it?
and Chuck.
Billy and Chuck. That there also, they made jokes out of these types of characters. Yeah. And so for them to try to say that, oh, it was just a misstep in creative, I don't buy that for a fucking second, because if they actually thought having this beast of a guy who was fucking Mortis, like this beast of a character that we had, who better than Canyon? Like, people love that shit.
Yeah.
Come out dressed as Boy George and then get their ass beat
while singing "Do You Really Want to Hurt?"
Yeah, like
with a lisp.
Yeah,
specifically on the lisp.
Yeah, to think that would in any way benefit his career at all. That is laughable, to think that you could even try to make that argument that they didn't do this on purpose. And nobody can convince me otherwise that they didn't do that shit.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be 100% honest. Watching Canyon's episode made me cry.
Yeah, me too.
When I think back to his career, I remember him debuting Mortis. I don't remember Men at Work. I remember Mortis though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember Men at Work when it happened. Like, I know of them. I've seen stuff of Men at Work since.
Yes.
Same with Mortis. I didn't know a lot of I knew of Mortis, but I didn't see a lot of stuff
Mortis gimmick because it was so different. However, I didn't realize that was James Mitchell who accompanied him to the ring.
Yeah, that I didn't.
And I didn't really put two and two together.
He pops up on screen. I'm like, fucking James Mitchell?
Yep.
I was like, is that the Sinister Minister? And then he said that. I was like, yes, it is.
I did some research, and because like they mentioned a couple things, and I'm like, that doesn't seem right for the timeline, and I'm like, that can't be right, because they mentioned in Canyon's episode that like their gimmicks were like in their gimmicks, but I mean Mortis, Glacier, and Wrath, the three guys who were based on the Mortal Kombat gimmicks, or characters. They mentioned how their gimmicks were shut down because of the whole NWO angle. I was like, that timeline doesn't line up though, because I remember them debuting around like 99, 2000s. And so when I went and did the research on it, I was wrong. They debuted in like early 97.
Oh. Okay.
And then NWO debuted at like the end of 97, going into like 98. And I was like, well, holy fuck. Or no, it was mid 97, because Starrcade 97 was like a year in the making for Sting.
Yeah.
So it was probably like late 96, early 97.
A couple years earlier than you had thought. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm watching this, and then they're talking about like guys like the Jacksons are talking about how, Chris being the innovator of offense, he was doing moves that people couldn't even like fathom back then. And they do a clip, which I had sent you months ago, and it's him doing the buckshot lariat, which isn't what he called it at the time. And for those of you who don't know, it's Adam Page's finisher now. And it's literally, they grab the ropes and they pull back and they shoot themselves over the ropes and do like a flip in the process, land their feet, and then hit a fucking clothesline.
Yeah.
And I was like, Canyon's like 6'1", 6'2". I'm like, that's an impressive move for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
I always find it impressive when big guys do stuff like that.
There is one person I wish they would have interviewed for the angle, like
6'4".
So see, yeah, even that though, 6'4". That's but the one person I really wish they would have gotten their opinion on Canyon because he worked with him just as much as Page, Raven.
Oh,
I don't think Raven would have had anything bad to say about Canyon because he loved Canyon.
Yeah,
and I don't know if he just wasn't available for interview at the time or not, but like watching people just, I can't.
Yeah, no, it was a heartbreaking episode. It was real tough to watch. Seeing that dude that scene with was it Luke Hawx when he was talking about that I broke down when he broke down. It was so heartbreaking
that somebody fought so hard to be unique and different, and then got shit on, and that's pretty much what led to him just being like, "Oh, I might as well fucking kill myself."
Yeah.
And I feel bad for him because that sucks.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, agreed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
For anybody out there who has those feelings of self-doubt and you think you can't go on, please seek help.
Please reach out to one of us. We'll gladly talk to you.
Yeah, I mean there's hotlines, there's all kinds of things, suicide prevention line. Just reach out, do something because the world will not be better without you. You know what I mean? It's not the case. So, but I think that's a good place to wrap that topic. And for me, it will tie in to our next one a little bit. So I'm giving you a little hint here. So our next topic will be wrestling biopics that should be made.
Yes.
That's right. All right. So
those of you who don't know, Josh proposed this idea past me like 2 weeks ago. And he said to me, he goes, "John, if you could make a biopic about any wrestler, what wrestler would it be? And who do you cast to play the person?" And I was literally dumbfounded by this for like a solid week. I'm not even going to lie. I was like, well, I could do this, or I could do this, could do this. But I'm excited to hear who you wanted, like who you would do.
Okay, so as I said, what we just talked about is a little bit of a spoiler, and that is because after watching these 2 episodes of Dark Side of the Ring, my original choice changed because of one of the episodes, and my new choice became clear. I originally thought Ric Flair, and I still think it could be a damn good biopic because you could get into that dirty, gritty side of him and make it a real drama and show those bad sides. You know what I mean? Because it would make for a compelling film.
It would.
But like, I'm just like, fuck you, Ric Flair. At this point, I don't know if you'd even deserve anything like that. But now, I want to see a Chris Kanyon biopic. I really do. His story, like, I didn't know all of this stuff. Like, I knew he was secretly gay and all this stuff, and I knew that he, eventually killed himself. But all the stuff in between, I really didn't know, and I feel like a lot of people didn't really know. And
who do you cast as Kanyon?
So I was trying to rack my brain, like, who would fit the bill? Who would look like him, have the physique, have the ability to pull off a charismatic character? And there was one person that came to mind for me. And that's Joe Manganiello.
Okay.
He's big, he's tall, he's got that look to him. He's a bit darker. He's a little tanner, just like Kanyon. The hair, he could do the long hair, and I think he's a damn good actor, and he's charismatic as shit. I think he could pull it off personally. But I think it would just be, and I think it would be an amazing dramatic turn for him too. You know what I mean? Because this movie would have to be dramatic. Because the biopics that we have seen, I could only think of one biopic film that is wrestling based, that is a wrestler, and that's Fighting with My Family, because it's about Paige.
Yeah.
We also have the Young Rock TV show, which is technically that, but both of those are more comedic, you know. And I couldn't think of another actual biopic about a wrestler. You know, like you have movies about wrestlers, like The Wrestler and things like that, but it's not a biopic, because it's not like this is specifically about this person. You know, that's you know, I couldn't think of any other biopics. That was why the topic came up in the first place for me. So I was like, we don't have any of these.
No, that's actually a really good point.
And there are, you know, obviously the Chris Benoit one had been in the works for years and on and off and all this stuff. There's the Hulk Hogan one that's in the works with Chris Hemsworth. There's a Vince McMahon one apparently in the works. Yeah. And so like there are some biopics that are in the works, but really nothing that has happened. And so that's why that came out. But yeah, I want a more dramatic one, because the two kind of examples that we have are more comedic. And that's why, like, when I thought about the Ric Flair one, you could really get into a dramatic side of it. But this doing a Chris Kanyon one, though, after watching Dark Side of the Ring, man, I will probably cry just as much, if not more, than I did watching that episode. So yeah, that's my pick. I'm really interested to hear what yours is.
I have two.
Ooh, all right.
Because I thought about the first one, because you really racked my brain with this one. Like at first I was like a biopic, and then I was like, I don't really know what a biopic is, so I had to look it up, and I was like wrestling biopics, and the first one on the list is Fighting with My Family.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. I was like, so that's what a biopic is. I'm like,
biographical picture, yeah.
So first person that came to mind was Ric Flair.
Yeah. And
I was like, no, too obvious. Can't do fucking Ric Flair. Because too many people like are like, Ric Flair, okay, woo. And then I started thinking, out of all the fucking wrestlers in the world, who deserves a biopic? And I was like, Hulk Hogan. I was like, well, he's got one in the works, though. It's Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
So then I started thinking, well, Hulk Hogan wouldn't be who he is if he had never had feuds or partnerships with Macho Man Randy Savage.
Fuck yeah, man.
And then I was like, but who the fuck do you cast as Macho Man? Because I'm like, you know, there is a very, I'm going to use the word loosely here, character to the Macho Man. There's a way he walks. He walks with a slight bend in the knees. And the way his hand's in the air, and he does the little, oh, yeah. And there's a very specific way that the Macho Man talks. And I can't do it. Like, I want to impersonate him so bad, and I can't. And that sparked one thing to my mind. Jay Lethal.
No,
he's not an actual actor.
You had mentioned that before, yeah.
Yes. Now, I know he's not an actual actor, but if you look at his time as Black Machismo in TNA, it was almost like watching Randy Savage all over again.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking to myself, I'm like, well, if you're going to do a biopic, though, with Macho Man, and you're going to chronicle his life, I would want to see more of his personal life with the wrestling sprinkled in. Think of it like the wrestling's is like a taco. I want to see the show being the life with the meat being with everything they talk about. But I want to see the toppings be the wrestling shit. Like, talk about like WrestleMania 3 with Ricky Steamboat. And I want to see like the talk of the Mega Powers in there. And his feud with Ric Flair, which was a legendary feud. And then I want to see like some of the shit in the NWO and his marriage to Elizabeth, and like then like his appearance in Spider-Man. And then I was joking to myself, and I was like, man, it's like you'd have to get some like cool people to do appearances in there. And I thought to myself, I recently introduced you to an independent wrestler. His name is Alexander Hammerstone.
Oh yeah.
I want to see him be the guy who does Hulk Hogan in the movie, since he does like the Hogan-esque gimmick.
Yeah.
And I want to see them recreate the famous Mega Powers, and bring it into like handshake. I just want to see that on TV. Oh man.
I think Jay Lethal's an interesting choice. I guarantee you it will be extremely controversial in the internet wrestling community.
It would.
They love to
So
bitch about everything. When you mentioned it, I was like, that would be an awesome choice. And I was like, man, let's just get the guy who plays Macho on Young Rock.
And
He's
that was
good.
the second person I thought too. I was
Yeah.
like, they could do that. And
Yeah,
my
because I looked
second
him up.
biopic
His
choice.
name is Kevin Makeley. Apparently, he's from upstate New York.
Interesting.
He's from the Hudson Valley area.
My second biopic choice, I went with a much different route. I went with a more attitude-based wrestler, I guess you could say. I went from somebody from the Attitude Era.
Okay.
And there's no way to explain it except saying that I hope you have a good time watching it. Because bang, bang, I chose Mick Foley.
I like it.
That's
I think cool, man.
His story deserves to get told.
Yeah.
His sleeping on gym floors and living in cars and eating nothing but ramen and peanut butter, to being WWF champion, to being best friends with The Rock, to his Christmas obsession and everything he's done in and out of wrestling since then.
Yeah, I think that would be fascinating. It's just like kind of getting some of that early days, because like you said, him sleeping in cars and stuff, and kind of getting into the business. I think that would be a really cool biopic. Do you have an idea of who you might want to see play him?
Well, I chose somebody that it doesn't kind of fit the bill anymore because I recently found out dude lost a lot of weight. But I had chose Dan Folger.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I can see
and
that.
If not him, maybe like a Jonah Hill.
He is good at dramatic stuff.
He is. And he can also still do the comedy thing as well, where Mick is a decently funny guy.
Yeah. But
Mick Foley is a very eccentric personality. I don't know that there is anybody who could capture him.
It may be like an unknown, you know what I mean? Who knows? As we're sitting here talking, and it's like, John had two picks. I'm like, who else would I do? I came up with another one that I'm like, this, I don't know why I didn't think of it before, and now I kind of really want to see it. Eddie Guerrero. I don't know who I would pick to play him, but I mean, I feel like his life would be a real interesting story to tell.
His was on my list originally, but I couldn't come up with an actor. And I was like, Eddie has such a personality and everything that I don't know that I can make it through an entire Eddie biopic without crying.
Yeah.
I mean, Eddie was one of the guys that when me and you backyarded, like side story to our story of stories, when Josh and I used to backyard wrestle, I tried to do the Three Amigos to every opportunity I was ever given. And I wasn't very good at it, but I could do it. Yeah. And Eddie was one of those guys. Eddie and Chris were two of the guys that I wanted to be like. And I did moves from them every chance I got because it was my way of trying to be like, I can do this. I can be one of these guys.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But I think those are some solid picks. Let us know, who would you pick?
Yeah,
for a wrestling.
You could make a biopic. Who would you choose to make a biopic about, and who would you cast?
Yes, let us know. Hit us up on Twitter, right there at the bottom, at Off the Ropes JJ, and let us know your choice for wrestling biopic. All right, so we'll move on to our next story. This one I thought would be an interesting topic to talk about. We recently got an interview we saw with Tony Khan of AEW talking about why he only does 4 pay-per-views per year. And it got me thinking, okay, this could make for an interesting conversation. So here's our new topic. WWE versus AEW. Is less more? So like I said, Tony Khan talking about 4 pay-per-views a year. He came out and said it's because they want to be more television focused. They've got these 3 or so hours, whatever they have every week, and they want to be able to focus on those storylines and give fans the best bang for their buck when it comes to that, instead of always having to drive toward the next pay-per-view the way WWE does. And so I want to kind of converse about all this with you, John, about, is having only 4, like, would WWE be better off if they just had their big 4? You know what I mean?
I thought about this in an aspect because actually it's really funny that you mentioned this because I was reading an article online that followed this process and it was talking about if WWE was to drop down their number of pay-per-views. I think they should have a couple more than 4. I'm not saying oversaturate the product.
I think it should be 8. You have the 4 big ones, and then 1 in between each.
See, I'm not even saying that many. I'd say 6, maybe. Go with
but the problem is, if you only do 6, you have to then shuffle where the big 4 are placed.
That is true.
That's why I say, okay, you have your big 4, and they're fairly evenly spaced from one another. And then just have 1 more in between. Right now, they have like 13. So you'd still be cutting like 5 out of it. You know what I mean?
Well, the way I was thinking was you get rid of a couple of like the really bad gimmicky ones.
Yeah.
Like get rid of Extreme Rules. Get rid of TLC.
Honestly, I don't mind if they kept Extreme Rules as long as they turned it into what it was originally, where every match had a stipulation.
I mean, yes.
They did that for a couple of years, and then they stopped doing that. And I'm like, that would be like, it'd be like, this is our extreme pay-per-view for the year.
Well, I mean, it's what it's supposed to be.
Just like how Night of Champions, or whatever it was called, was like every single title's on the line. That was the gimmick. It wasn't just about a singular match, the way some of these other ones are.
But I would love to see if we're going to scale some of them back, I want to see, and I know this is going to, it's gonna strike a lot of people wrong.
Be a hot take.
I want to see Elimination Chamber eliminated as a pay-per-view.
Yeah. No, absolutely. have that match show up in a pay-per-view somewhere.
Yes.
Don't have it.
That's what they did back in the day. It wasn't its own pay-per-view. It was a match that showed up.
Same with TLC, Hell in a Cell. Those matches should just be able, because there's a TLC pay-per-view, we never see TLCs in any other pay-per-view.
Nope. And that's one of my problems.
A Hell in a Cell at any other pay-per-view.
No.
And I would love for it to just they're building toward this storyline, then all of a sudden they're gonna have a Hell in a Cell. Oh shit, that's gonna be awesome. We didn't know it was gonna happen.
Well, that's it. It's like if me and you started a feud right now in wrestling, they've either got to drag it out or they've got to find a way to, if it say we just started a feud today and Hell in a Cell is in 2 months. Well, shit, now we have to fast track it. How are we going to build their storyline so fast that we can have them fight in Hell in a Cell and it makes sense?
Yeah.
Well, don't rush the story arc because that doesn't make sense then. All it does is hurt storylines.
Yep.
So have your main 4. SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Rumble, and WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Sprinkle in a couple of other cool ones. Maybe come up with some... I mean, you have WCW's playbooks and you have the rights to all their matches. Maybe you start bringing back some of the other matches that the fans want to see. Again, World War III.
But don't make that a pay-per-view itself.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a pay-per-view in itself, but
I get it. Match. But what I'm saying is what WWE tends to do is this is going to be every year. So every year you're going to have a World War III.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to see that.
I mean,
you have
WCW did it, but it was with purpose.
Yes.
But I would change it in how WWE would do it. So this is how I'm saying this. Imagine you've got 3 brands in WWE. World War III was about 3 rings, 20 superstars in each ring. At the end, 3 guys were left. All 3 guys go to 1 ring, triple threat match. Winner gets a guaranteed title shot.
Yeah.
So now with WWE doing it, NXT's in a ring.
Yep.
SmackDown's in a ring. Raw's in a ring.
I think it would be perfect.
They fight it out at the end, 1 person from each brand, and that guy gets a shot at their respective brands championship.
Yeah, no, I dig that. I think I don't understand why they haven't done that. It doesn't make sense to me.
Here's my other big thing I'm going to say. Eliminate the Money in the Bank pay-per-view and put that back at WrestleMania where it deserves to be.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah,
you can still have two at WrestleMania.
Because you get a year on the contract. And the whole point of it was, okay, you won it at WrestleMania. You have until WrestleMania to cash it in. And maybe you wait until WrestleMania. That's kind of cool because that's your last chance. But, like, yeah, I'm so sick and tired of it just being its own thing every year. Yes, it should be at Mania the way it used to be. That's what would make it special.
This is I'm gonna I know that this term has been used a lot lately with a lot of like the brand or the company sharing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna open a forbidden door and I'm gonna suggest something and I want your perfect opinion on this. And I'm gonna bring it up now because we've never talked about this before. Intergender Money in the Bank match.
Okay. Yeah, because I was gonna say the only problem is that if they only have one, you're probably getting rid of the women's one.
Probably. But imagine this one. Men and women in the same match, one briefcase above the ring.
I kind of dig that.
Actually, no, fuck that. 2 briefcases above the ring.
Okay.
And then
so like, it's just a mess of people. It's just a mess of people in the ring, but they're fighting for their own separate. I kind of dig that, actually.
And I mean, it happens all the time. Men fight women. Shit happens. I'm not saying you book a storyline where like Big Show beats up Mae Young. Nobody wants to see that shit. But if like, okay, prime example. NXT has Joey Gargano and Candice. Now I know that's a bad example because Candice LeRae is out right now due to a pregnancy. But let's say when they were doing their whole thing a few months ago, a year ago, when they were feuding with who were they feuding with? Was it Adam Cole?
Honestly, I don't remember. I don't
remember either. It was Keith Lee. It was Keith Lee because he had in his corner.
Yeah, it was before he jumped.
Johnny Gargano versus Keith Lee. At points, Candice LeRae intervened and she put her nose where it didn't belong. Mia Yim comes out to save the day. Blah 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 blah. You get a match. Mia Yim and Keith Lee versus Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae. Now, by WWE standards, guys can only fight the guys, and girls can only fight the girls. But girls get their sweet shots in on guys because that's just how the match happens. I would love to watch a guy fucking pick a girl up in Samoan drop her. It'd be fucking amazing. And
and they used to do stuff like that. They used to do stuff like that with certain female wrestlers. You know what I mean? I mean, look what China was able to do. You know what I mean? I know that was a long ass time ago, but
China is a different level of performer.
I know, I get that, but I'm just saying. And she held a men's title.
She did. She's only one of 2 women to do it too.
Yeah. So, and there's only there's a handful of women that have ever been in the men's Royal Rumble. Things like that. So like we've seen stuff, but like. They're wrestlers. They're fighting. We all know what this is. And it's not promoting abuse against women.
No.
Because like you sit there like the thing that I hate about it, it's like, okay, you can have a woman just come out of nowhere and slap a dude in the face. And that's totally fine. But you can't do it the other way around.
Nope.
And it's like, but why is it okay in the one? It's a show. You know what I mean? It's not it's I don't know. It's just, it's very one-sided when it comes to that, and I don't like that.
And you know what the crazy part is like, I can testify that, like, I've seen footage from the match that Candice LeRae got involved in with, like, the Young Bucks, and she was the first person to ever take the tennis shoe with the thumbtacks.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, I don't know if you've never seen this clip, but if you've never seen this, one of the Young Bucks, I think it was Nick Jackson, takes his boot off and replaces it with a tennis shoe lined with thumbtacks on the bottom, and then he fucking super kicks her.
Oh my God.
She doesn't block the fucking kick. She takes the fucking kick. And it's brutal. But she fucking did it because she's Candice LeRae. And she's not afraid to get in there with the guys. And I've seen it happen on the indie shows all the time. Orange Cassidy fought Kylie Ray. I've seen it 1,000 times.
Yeah,
We've lived in indie shows
wrestling.
and seen it.
Indie wrestling is not afraid to do it. They're just not, and that's like I don't know if they're just too worried about backlash about it or something, but it's like just we all know that they're there to beat each other's asses. That's what it is. Like
I think there should be
we
more
understand
intergender.
that. Yeah.
Ooh, how about this?
And you telling me there are plenty of women wrestlers who could whoop the shit out of some of those dudes easily.
Yes.
So easily.
Raquel Gonzalez, top of the list.
Absolutely, she could.
And if somebody beats her up, now her husband Dexter Lewis is probably gonna fucking murder you.
You got it.
So true, yes, man. I do think that less is more. That is my opinion, and that is all I'm going to say about this subject.
All right, man. That was a good topic. I really enjoyed it. But I'm interested to see, since this was your topic, everything you have to say about it. And that is NXT 2.0 or bad mathematics?
Well, okay, let's start with the fact that they're calling it NXT 2.0. But really, there was the NXT game show, and then there was the NXT brand that we all know and love, the black and gold brand.
Yeah.
And now there's this NXT, which would either make this NXT 2.5 or NXT 3.0.
Yeah, which is it?
Just saying.
Yeah.
But I don't, from the 2 to 3 weeks NXT's been on, I don't have anything bad to say about it yet. I like the new look. I like that it kind of looks like an indie show. Yeah. It looks like something I would
consider. For those of you watching the podcast on the YouTube channel, here is the logo. NXT 2.0. I dig it. I do. I like it. I understand the comparison to the AEW one, the Dynamite one.
It's got comparison, but I mean, isn't the old expression that nothing in wrestling is unique anymore?
That's true. That's very true.
I mean, nothing's
But
original.
I like because it's like it feels full of energy, and
that's it. I don't think that they were exactly trying to.
Like everybody was like, "Oh, it's the Nickelodeon version of NXT. The N stands for Nickelodeon." Because I'm just like, come on, guys! Like, you did not say that about NXT or about AEW when they made their fucking colorful logo bullshit. Like, stop being this biased bullshit.
I mean, it's not like NXT's changed anything. Titles are still the same. Yeah. The only thing that has changed is the atmosphere. And WWE does that all the time with Raw and SmackDown. They get new sets and shit all the time.
New shits. They change up like the graphics. They do that all the time.
But the style Raw still uses a W Josh hates.
Wait, what? Oh yes, the Raw, the W and Raw. I hate it.
The M?
Absolutely the upside down M. It's so ugly as fuck.
My thing about NXT 2.0. I'm gonna dive right into this.
Okay.
So they started the new, and I'll go with their name. 2.0 started with a no champion NXT. The title was relinquished due to an unforeseen injury, which fucking sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing you can do about it at that point. Like, shit happens, and it's horrible. So they decided that there was going to be a fatal 4-way to crown the new NXT champion. If you haven't seen that match, I highly recommend it. It was a great match. All 4 men worked their ass off, and one of those men worked double duty that night. Okay, so we have debuting new looks. We have debuting superstars. We have superstars who are finally getting called up to the NXT brand from the training facilities. And I think it's awesome because, like, I just realized last week on NXT, Joe Gacy was on TV. I know Joe Gacy. That makes me excited. Now I'm like, okay, guys I know are on TV now.
Yeah.
Like, fucking A. Let's talk about Bronson
Breaker.
Thank you. Now, for those of you who don't know, Bronson Breakker debuted on NXT 2 weeks ago. he beat LA Knight in his debut match. That is a phenomenal start to being in NXT. But why does Bronson Breakker look familiar? Well, that, ladies and gentlemen, is because his real last name is Rex Steiner. And I know some of you were going, what? Well, if you split that apart, you kind of got who his daddy is. Rick Steiner. See what I did there? It's smart. Now, if you take Uncle Scotty's wrestling ability and Daddy's look and you merge them together, that's what you have with Bronson Breakker.
And jack him up a bit more.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, man. In all fairness, the Steiners in the 90s weren't exactly small dudes.
No, they weren't. No, definitely not.
One of the things that bugs me, and CM Punk even tweeted about this, is that why are they calling him Bronson Breakker? Play into the fact that he is Steiner's son.
Yeah, exactly. You can sit there and fucking have Charlotte Flair milk her daddy's name.
Yeah.
Why the fuck can't he use that as well? Like, come on.
I have one theory as to why. Okay. And that is because Scott Steiner is still in bad blood with the WWE.
Oh, maybe.
That is the only thing I can come up with as to why he's not a Steiner. But that's not fair because Rick is in good standings with the WWE.
Yeah.
Now, I had talked to you about this, and I'm gonna propose this on Off the Ropes as well. I want to see him have a good singles push. And at the end of, like, mid-career, I want to see Joe Laurinaitis' kid come into wrestling, who, for those of you who don't know, is Road Warrior Animal, and his son was training. And I want to see Joe Laurinaitis' kid come in, and I want to see the two of them team up. Both of them come from a legendary tag team. I think they have potential, but it's whether or not his son actually furthers his career.
Yeah. No, I think that would be actually really cool to see happen. We need some real good, solid tag teams over there as well.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, we need future tag teams in the business.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's like a legacy team, you know, and I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah.
I would like to see the different, like, you know how like certain tag teams aren't always uniform, but they work together?
Yes.
I would like to see a difference in their styles. Like, you know, like Scotty and Rick both wore singlets, and they were those colorful, playful gimmicks, like colorful singlets. And even in WCW, Scott wore a singlet before he became Big Papa Pump and switched to the drums.
Yeah.
Or the tights. Sorry.
Tights, yeah.
I would love to see, because Road Warrior Animal always wore the tights. So I would love to see his son wear the tights while Steiner still wears the singlets. And I would love to see like that difference, but maybe like they do like
the coloring and stuff, the design might be similar or the same. Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
or
I think that's
you
good.
do the 50-50 gear like when Scott Norton and Buff Bagwell were a tag team. Okay. Like when they were in the NWO together and they did their version of Vicious and Delicious. And I say their version because they sure as fuck ain't us.
That's right,
Scott Steiner did like he had like the split singlet, which was black and white, half and half, and one side still had like a kind of brick pattern to it with the NWO logo like brick laden into the singlet. Because Buff Bagwell had like the black tights, but both of the sides had a stripe down them that was red and looked like bricks and had the NWO logo across that.
Gotcha.
So you could do something similar where one guy wears the tights, one guy wears the singlet, and still make their looks like kind of similar.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that.
And I mean, even if you don't do that, I just want to see them tag team.
Yeah, I think it would be a good idea. Do you think that this is going to be a good step for NXT, this quote unquote 2.0 that they're doing?
I'm not going to lie. I think it's still too early to tell.
Yeah.
I think with the revamped look, the new attitude, Tommaso Ciampa is the NXT champion.
Yeah.
Because I don't give a shit what anybody says. Tommaso Ciampa's money. He knows where his place is in that company. He knows that himself with the gold is a strategy to success.
Yeah, I mean, Tommaso Ciampa himself, speaking of, came out and said he thinks NXT will be the A show within the next 3 to 6 months.
I don't doubt that. I mean, think about this. They re-debuted Mandy Rose with a whole new look.
Yeah, which I love. I think she looks.
She
great.
looks fucking hot. She looks hotter now than she did as the sexy pinup Mandy.
Yeah,
like I'm like, oh fuck, she's hot.
Yeah, and like, but she also looks badass. You know what I mean? It's like she looks like the kind of girl who's like you don't want to fuck with her. You know what I mean?
Yes.
She should fuck you up, man.
Now, you pair that up with like the debuting and tough ass Bronson Breakker.
Yeah,
you still got the guys like Cameron Grimes, LA Knight. You've got your Tommaso Ciampas, your Gargano. Like those guys are going to work their ass off to make the product top tier.
Yeah,
and that's awesome. And then you've got your guys who are coming back down to help out. Like nobody really comes to mind right now. But I know like people pop in and out to like help out NXT.
Yeah.
They try to get those ratings and stuff up there. But think about this. With Tommaso Ciampa as the NXT champion, who is the first person who's probably going to go for him? Johnny Gargano.
Yeah, they've had that.
Or LA Knight, because I could see LA Knight getting in there too.
Yeah,
he's working his way up the tier right now.
When we started this show back up, and I started like watching NXT again, it was Gargano and Ciampa, man. That was the feud that was going down, and every week
the feud.
It's like every week it was those two guys. You know, each pay-per-view they were doing, it was those two guys. Remember they did that empty arena cinematic match? You remember that one? Yeah, it was like an hour long.
I personally think that if NXT is going to not rebrand itself but reestablish itself, I'm going to be one of the few people who's going to say this, but they need to get rid of the NXT title they have right now because it's cursed. Everybody who puts their hands on it within the last couple of like champions has gotten hurt and had to relinquish that championship, and it sucks.
Yeah, if they're going to rebrand, fully rebrand, new title, everything.
I know what, like as I said, I know I'm one of few on this one. Bring back the original NXT title.
Okay.
I liked that belt.
Or maybe even just like a modified version of it, you know?
Oh, yeah. I'm okay with that.
You could do something cool with it. I don't know.
But I mean, NXT right now has them set up for success as long as, and I know this is going to be a loose shot because I know he's on there anyway, Vince McMahon needs to keep his hand out of the product.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's the one now with his hand fully in the product.
I know he is, but
he's taking NXT over instead of letting Triple H. I mean, I don't know if it has to do because like Triple H just recently had I think like heart surgery or something. So like I don't know if maybe that was like they knew that he was going to need it, and so that was kind of the plan. I don't know, but no matter what, I just have a feeling that NXT is going like I love Tommaso Ciampa, but I don't know if I believe what he says here because of Vince McMahon being the one running it. I just NXT most of the time had better product than Raw and SmackDown. It is true. Most people weren't watching it, which is sad. But they had a lot of the times their stuff was better.
Well, that's true.
And that was because of Triple H.
But that's why I said I think right now it's only like 2 weeks into the rebranding. Yeah. I think it's way too early to tell if it's I will say this. I think if they keep on the product that they've given us the last 2 weeks, then yes, I think that NXT has a chance. But it's like I said, it's too early to tell.
So I'm curious as to your thoughts on why the rebrand happened in the first place. Apparently, Corey Graves thinks they were focusing too much on things like gimmicks and stuff and not doing a good enough job of selling their characters and storylines. And also Chris Jericho came out and said that he thinks that Vince resents NXT for losing to AEW and that all of this is kind of what has led to the rebrand. I'm curious about your thoughts on that.
See, the funny thing about that is, and I'm going to break this down into two parts. Chris Jericho part. I think part of it is he resents AEW. Because like you said earlier in the show, for almost 20 solid years, Vince McMahon went without any competition. And yes, I know that there were other wrestling shows out there, people. WSX, AAA, Impact. There's all these other things that have popped up and come and gone, except for Impact, which has struggled. Okay, I get it. It's cool. We all understand that. But this is the first real time that somebody has stepped up to the plate with pockets as deep as Vince's and been like, well, guess what, Vince? We see what you're doing, and we're going to do it better, and we're going to take the talent that you said was worthless and had no fucking time frame, and we're going to take those guys, and we're going to shove them right back down your fucking throat, and we're going to show you that those guys are top-tier fucking talents, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And I think Vince got scared.
Yeah, because like Impact tried to do stuff like that like a decade ago, and it didn't really work for them. You know, they would pick, guys would get let go, they'd pick them up.
Yeah,
it wouldn't go anywhere.
But
really,
the problem with Impact is like they would sign a guy, and within a month, they're the champion of the company.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they signed Kurt Angle, boom, heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
Christian Cage, boom, champion.
It's like, we got all these like veterans from WWE. We're making them a faction. Boom.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's like,
and then that's the other thing. TNA tried to capitalize on factions.
Oh yeah.
The best faction they had going for them for the longest time was Aces and Eights.
Yes.
And they fucked that storyline up so bad at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely did. And I think that's a big reason why Vince is not hasn't been up until recently afraid, because he's like, places like Impact tried to do this, whatever. Like they fizzled, and I don't have to worry about that. But AEW is doing things correctly.
Yeah, and I mean, look at the comments that were made about AEW when the company was like first getting its footing under it, like the Hall of Fame ceremony 2 years ago when Billy Gunn was boasting about how Vince couldn't touch him anymore because he didn't work for Vince. But he was at the Hall of Fame ceremony because DX was going into the Hall of Fame that year. And Hunter straight on camera looked at Billy Gunn in the face and went, if you don't think Vince won't buy that pissant company just to fire you again, you're wrong.
Yeah. It's
not a pissant company anymore. They have solidified themselves. There is a foundation that they are building on. And yes, I've said it before, I'll say it again. They are buying up a lot of talent right now, but they are using the talent wisely. Not every person has come into the company and gotten a title shot. Not every person has come in and been shot straight up the ladder either. Most of them come in with a little bit of creative control over their gimmick, and they get a good storyline that makes them happy, and they're allowed to be who they want to be. Look at guys like Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy is like in his late 30s, early 40s, and that man is wrestling matches that I haven't seen him put on like this in years. WWE didn't utilize him properly. They even got half the rights to his fucking broken gimmick and didn't know how to work with that.
Yeah.
I mean, there is so much shit right now that Vince is like, oh yeah, we're WWE, we're untouchable. And I think, like you said, like Jericho put him on point and was like, hey, Vince is scared. And according to Corey, the whole gimmick thing, there's not that many gimmicks in NXT.
Yeah, so that's what I was real like confused about that. I was like, what are you talking about? There are far more gimmicks on Raw and SmackDown than there
and that's
ever
what I'm
are
saying.
In
like most of the guys down there, like, okay, yeah, you've got Cameron Grimes, but I don't feel like much of that's a gimmick.
Yeah.
I think that's the only one that really pops out at me at this point.
Shotzi, maybe?
I don't even think that's a gimmick. That's really who she is.
Well, I don't think she's like rolling down the street to the supermarket in that little tank.
I mean, maybe not the tank, but I mean, if you follow her
like,
Instagram,
that's part of the gimmick. You know what I mean? But like,
I mean, maybe
it's still a stretch. You know what I mean? It's still a stretch.
Oh, Ember Moon, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, especially more recently, but
stretches.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you're telling me Karrion Kross coming out in his dominatrix gear on Raw, that's not a gimmick?
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Fucking, that was so stupid.
Like
WWE, like, yeah, I don't know.
Like I said, it's still too early to tell whether or not NXT 2.0 is going to be a success or a fail. But at least as for right now, it seems to be on the right track.
Yeah, so hopefully it can stay on that right track, and I guess we'll have to see. But now that we're done with that, it is time for John's favorite part of the show.
Let me tell you something, brother.
That's right. It is that time, and we have an interesting topic. I like to think, is Bray going to AEW? John, tell us all about your thoughts on this.
I mean, it's not really. I wanted to make it my let me tell you something because obviously, I've made it specifically clear a bunch of times. I am a huge Bray Wyatt fan, or now as he's going, Wyndham Rotunda, which is his real name. I'm cool with that. A lot of speculation that tomorrow, that's right, we're recording this on Tuesday the 28th. Tomorrow, the 29th, AEW will be live from Rochester, New York. That's right. That's a halfway point between Josh and myself. And there is a lot of speculation on the fact that Wyndham Rotunda will debut in Rochester, the hometown of the Exalted One, Brody Lee. Now, I'm not so sure about Josh on this one, but I'm fucking ecstatic. I can't wait to see what he's going to bring to AEW.
Absolutely. If it happens, I think it's going to be amazing because it's been so long since we've gotten the chance to see him do real wrestling work.
Yes.
He's been the Fiend for a while now. He had been the Fiend for a while. And like when he was doing the cult leader gimmick, I loved that stuff. He was able to kind of really show some different sides of him, and I really hope that he gets that chance again, wherever he goes, whether it be AEW or elsewhere. But I'm really hoping. I'll be honest though, if he does show up tomorrow, I'm gonna be bummed that we're not there.
I'm gonna be a little bummed too.
Yeah.
Mainly because I realized I only got to see Bray once in person.
Yeah.
And it wasn't during the Fiend; it was during his cult leader time.
Yeah.
Me and you were both there.
Yep.
I remember I fucking screamed like a little kid.
It was awesome. Awesome.
There's a lot of speculation on what they're gonna do with Wyndham in AEW.
Yeah.
And one of the big rumors right now is circling around the Dark Order. And I came up with what I think would be cool to see happen with the Dark Order. I don't want to see him take over the Exalted One. I want to see them pitch to him to take over the Exalted One. And because he was good friends with Brody, I want to see him literally be like, guys, there's only one Exalted One, and that was Mr. Brody Lee. I will lead you guys into a new time, but I will not be your Exalted One. And I know that Brody Lee Jr. is still part of like what happens with AEW and the Dark Order, since he is the forever TNT champion and he has a contract and he's part of the Dark Order because his dad was.
Yeah.
And I would love to see them work that into the thing where like he shows up and Bray like, oh man. I want to see Bray get down to his level and just be like, hey, your dad was a great guy and I loved him.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be. I think it would be an incredible. It would be an incredible moment to see. Obviously, it would mean a lot. I think to Wyndham as well, and I think that if they want to continue that legacy, I think that he's the right choice. I don't know if I could come up with anyone else who would be the right choice.
I mean, like I said before, I know that they've got Brody Jr. doing like he kind of like is the leader of the Dark Order,
but he's so young. You know what I mean? Like I don't even know how old is he right now. He's
10. He's either 10 or 11.
So you're talking minimum 8 years before he's really able to do on-screen stuff. I really.
So bringing up an old thing, his mom said as long as he can keep good grades in school, he can go to AEW and do his thing.
But my question is it legal for him to actively wrestle?
Oh, I'm not talking about wrestling.
No, but that's what I'm talking about. Like,
yes.
At least 8, I think he has to be 18 to do that. I think. But yeah, to be like a mouthpiece, to be there. I hope he stays throughout his years.
But see, that's the thing though. And this is staying with what I'm talking about with Bray coming in. I want to see if he was to consult with Brody Jr.
Yeah.
I would love to see him be like, it's time for you to be the man your father wanted you to be.
Yeah.
You need to take over being the exalted one, and I'll show you how.
I like that.
And then little Brody
like maybe
showing up.
Wyndham is like his second in command or something like that, right? You know?
Yes.
Yeah, like his
Brody's
mouthpiece
calling
almost.
the shots, and Wyndham's putting it to go.
Yeah. I like
he's
that.
kind of like the sergeant at arms.
Yeah. I like that.
I would love to see, because like I joked about this months ago before they fired Bray from WWE. I would love to see a moment where the Dark Order's having because they've got their tag teams within the Dark Order.
Yeah.
Right now they're in chaos. There's all this disorder amongst the Dark Order. I would love for Brody to show up in a little suit with his mask on.
Yeah.
I want to see him be like, guys, this isn't what the Dark Order's about. We need to put our head to focus. We need to go back out there and show the people that the Dark Order is the dominant force in AEW. And then Bray walks in behind him and he's like, he's right. This is our time. We're going to make sure that people know that the Dark Order is the way to go. And I want one of them. None of them are really expendable at this point. But I would love for one of them to just be like, well, I'm not taking orders from a damn kid. And have Bray be like, what did you just say? And he's like, I said, I'm not taking orders from no damn kid. And then Bray beats him down. And then's like, does anybody else feel like that?
Yeah. I think this is a perfect setup for all of that. And I think it would be amazing. I really do. I mean, I hope that they can even come close to doing something like that.
It's a fantasy booking, and I know it probably won't happen.
Yeah.
But that's how I want to see it.
Maybe Tony Khan is watching our show and taking notes. It's free to you, Tony. Use it. Use it for free. We won't.
You just give me a free T-shirt. You can take my idea.
There you go.
Or a size 5X.
You could Cash App us, and a few extra bucks. Cash App us the amount of a T-shirt so that I could buy a T-shirt myself. There it is.
Oh man! Put your Cash App up on the screen just in case Tony's listening or watching.
I'll have to redo that. But mine is hashtag MercTrader22 MERCTRADER22. And John, what is yours? Hashtag JMade1.
Yep. Hashtag JMade1.
MAID. JMade1. That's right. Yep. So Tony, feel free to use that. Get us some shit.
Hit me up, Tony. I'll buy a T-shirt. I'll buy a bunch of merch.
Yes, you will.
Because you guys understand the big guys like T-shirts too.
That they do. Big guys need shirts too. All right.
Naughty
so
girls need love too.
That takes us out of that topic, and we are about to head into our final topic of the day, night, whatever you want to call it, of this episode.
That's fucking right.
And that is what I so lovingly titled the Not So Extreme Rules Results. That's right. So this past weekend, we saw the WWE Extreme Rules pay-per-view take place. And of course, we're going to talk a little bit about the results of what happened during that and give our thoughts about all of that. So I guess we'll just jump into it. We had a pretty decent pre-show match, which I'll be at first I was shocked that it was this match because I'm like, okay, you're putting one of the female matches. Then because I had forgotten that there were two other women's matches on the card. So I was like, okay, I guess I get it. I guess, you can make room that way. Though I probably would have put one of the tag matches, to be totally honest with you, just to really try to hook people into watching the pre-show.
Yeah.
Like if you really want people to watch that pre-show, you got to give them a reason to watch that pre-show. But we got Liv Morgan versus Carmella in a pretty solid match. I don't know if you wound up watching the pre-show match at all.
No, I didn't get to see the pre-show. It wasn't in the highlight package that I ended up watching.
It was
both
solid.
of those women are reasons why I would tune in.
Yeah, Liv Morgan took the win over Carmella, but like I said, it was solid. Liv really showing that she deserves a spot higher up on the card, and I hope that she does eventually get that. But then the event started off with the 6-man tag team match. We got the New Day joining forces, which I love to see. Big E, Kofi, and Xavier Woods taking on Bobby Lashley, AJ Styles, and Omos.
Hell yeah.
And the New Day taking the win in the second longest match of the night. I love how they started it.
There's one thing I want to talk about with this.
Yeah.
There was one moment in this match that really, I don't think got enough like attention to what it was like actually showing.
Okay.
So when you look at the 3 members of the New Day, they're very similar in height, but Kofi is the tallest member.
Okay.
And there is one point in the match where almost picks him up in a back suplex formation, and the cameraman has to literally pan up the whole shot.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, fuck, man. And then like almost like drops him face forward, and I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
it was a good fucking match, man. It was really
it was. It almost again is showing that like he's trying not to be like the typical big guy in professional wrestling.
It's obvious he does not want to become the Great Khali.
Which is good. I mean,
I don't want him to become the Great Khali either.
No. And I mean, yes, he's limited to the things he can do. You're probably never going to see him do like a top rope plancha or like a moonsault off the top rope, but he's definitely showing that he's definitely more than like two moves Khali.
True. Yeah. Ali is something else. And this guy is 7'3". I just looked it up. I had to know how tall he was. And I'm curious how tall Khali was. But I
want to say Khali was 7'4".
Maybe. But let's see real quick. 7'1". So he is taller than the Great Khali.
Oh shit.
And yet he is showing that he has more talent, more ability than someone like the Great Khali. No offense to the Great Khali. I liked him for what he was.
From what I understand from a lot of people who knew him outside of the business and from like shoot interviews I've heard, he had like body issues and like joint problems and stuff, which is
people who I wouldn't be shocked if Omos has joint problems because people that tall tend to have those genetically have those types of issues. It's just like people with like dwarfism, like you genetically have issues with like your joints and stuff. And so I wouldn't be shocked about that at all, but he's doing a lot more with it. And like when he first started, I was not a fan.
I know you weren't,
because it was always like AJ doesn't need this fucking guy. He is one of the best fucking guys on the roster. It's like, and all they're doing is just like, oh, he just comes in here and bam. He was essentially the Great Khali. He was. Yeah. But now they're working him into these matches, giving him these tag matches, and really showing us that he might be something, and I dig that. He's growing on me quite a bit. I like it. All right, then we had, which I thought this was interesting to me. They had both tag matches back to back. I was like, okay, I didn't expect that. They don't usually do that. They don't usually stack the tag matches. But they decided to put the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match next, which was the Usos taking on the Street Profits. The Usos, unfortunately, winning. But, I mean, it was predictable, I guess.
I mean, in all fairness, they really played up the Montez Ford being injured from SmackDown angle.
Yes.
And that really played a factor in the winning decision on this match.
Oh, yeah.
And I have to say, man, when Street Profits first debuted, they were like, they were doing a lot of backstage segments. We didn't get to see them wrestle right away.
Yeah.
I got so annoyed with them. Since their debut, I am a huge Street Profits fan now.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, And
like everything they did, like when they were the champs.
Yes.
And like their stuff with like, because they did some stuff with the New Day. They did some stuff with like the Viking Raiders.
Yeah.
All of that stuff really made me fall in love with these guys as a team.
And I mean, like, they've got a unique look. I like the whole Solo Cup thing because that's, in my personal opinion, that's genius.
Yeah.
You know, play up this whole like drinking party thing and like we want the smoke. Like they took something so stupid and they're turning it into something beneficial to them.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck yeah for these guys, man. Like fucking, I want to see years of prosperity for them.
Yeah. I'm sitting here watching this match and I'm like, oh, come on. It's time for the smoke. Like they deserve these titles. But it's obviously, WWE is focused on this whole bloodline thing.
Yes.
So it was unlikely that they would win, and unfortunately, they did not. But it was a hell of a match. They still got it. They're kicking ass, and I can't wait. They will have those titles again.
Oh, absolutely.
I know they will. I wouldn't be surprised if because eventually this whole bloodline thing has to come to an end. Every great thing comes to an end, and so will this. And I kind of hope it's the Street Profits who take those titles off of the Usos. I really do. Okay, so then we had a match that some may like, some may not. It was the the WWE Women's Championship match. It was Charlotte Flair taking on Alexa Bliss. Charlotte Flair, of course, retaining. No titles changed hands this pay-per-view.
No.
We'll just say it that way. There were 5 title matches and none of them changed hands. And I'm just like, what was the point in a lot of this? I don't understand. But whatever. I thought Alexa Bliss put on a hell of a show here.
She did put on a hell of a show.
Yeah.
I felt bad for her after the match though, like the whole Lily thing. Like again, we talked about it earlier, them trying to separate. And I think I brought up the Alka-Seltzer thing during that whole talk, too, about, like, she had an Alka-Seltzer in her mouth and it didn't.
I don't remember if you brought it up on camera or when we were talking before we started recording.
Okay.
But
So just in case I didn't, I felt really bad for Alexa Bliss after the match because, like, she's supposed to be selling this whole, like, Lily doll being ripped up in front of her, and she's supposed to be going through this thing, and she had put an Alka-Seltzer in the mouth to do, like, the whole foaming at the mouth thing, and she screams, and she's like, ah! And you can clearly see the fucking big ass tablet on her tongue, and it's not disintegrating because obviously her mouth is probably fucking dry.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, I'm pretty sure when she gets chucked over the announce table, you can see her grab it then, because I'm pretty sure I see her like immediately grab it before they can cut the camera. Yeah. Why wouldn't you just have a bottle of water over there for her to like swig off of really quick as well to get the moisture in the mouth?
Yeah.
But whatever. And then she gets up to the top of the ramp with the pieces of the Lily doll, and she screams again. And again, it's just giant fucking white tablets sitting on her tongue. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, man. Camera guy's getting fired today.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. But again, I'm so sick and tired of Charlotte Flair. I'm just done. Man, I can't do it anymore. I'm tired of her.
Which is why we're going to start talking about her.
Well, like, real quick, though. I want her to be repackaged.
Okay.
She's a good women's wrestler. She's a good wrestler in general. I cannot stand her as a person anymore. And if they do something different with her, stop writing off your daddy's name and do something like stop coming out dressed like your dad with a modified version of his theme. Do something of your own volition, and then maybe I'll respect you. But until then,
I respect that, man. Like that is well done.
Yeah. Until then, I just don't think it's going to happen. So then we got the triple threat for the United States Championship match. Damian Priest defending against Jeff Hardy and Sheamus. This was a good match. This was the only other match other than the main event that was they had no disqualifications, and yet they did not use
because it's triple threat.
And yet I don't think they used that at all.
Nope.
They did. I don't think they did anything that would have been construed as a disqualification.
It's weird because me and you were talking about this right before we went on air. Is that this match was only no DQ because of it being contested triple threat. Yeah. But then the following night on Raw, Sheamus gets a rematch, which is weird because Sheamus is the one who got pinned in that match.
Yeah, why the fuck Jeff Hardy getting left out of this?
Sheamus versus Damian Priest for the United States Championship was a no disqualification match. What the fuck?
And I mean, I didn't see that match. Did they do anything that justifies it?
There was a really there was some like kendo sticks and a couple of things, but like it ended with like Damian Priest getting lit up across his back a few times with a steel chair, but he retained his championship.
All right.
So
it's like throughout the entire show, the crowd is chanting for tables. Like every match, we want tables.
Yep.
Every match, and it's like, guys, none of these matches are allow for a table. But then we get to a match where it's like, oh yeah, I always forget triple threat matches are no DQ. Every time they say it, I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, okay, they could actually finally pull out a fucking table and give the fans what they want. You got 3 dudes here. You know, one of them could go through a table while the other 2 do their thing. And we got nothing.
Yep.
It's like, it was a good match, but this is supposed to be Extreme Rules. Give me something.
Right.
Something. Like, come on. Like, I shouldn't have to go the entire I shouldn't have to go 2 hours, over 2 hours of the main show and get nothing extreme happen.
No, 100%.
Even we'll talk about the next match in a minute, but like even the DQ that we wind up getting doesn't happen in any really extreme way.
No,
there's no weapons involved. It's like, whatever. But yes, I liked this match. It was cool. I always, every time Jeff Hardy's theme goes off, I'm like, yeah, fuck yes.
He's using no more words again.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you caught it, but there was an Armageddon 08 throw out in this match.
Oh, I didn't.
Damian Priest and Sheamus are near the corner. And I believe it's Damian Priest goes for the pin, and Jeff does the swanton onto him to break up the pin.
Oh, okay.
He did the night, and he won the WWE Championship.
Nice.
And I was like, oh, fuck, man. That's a nice little throw out.
Jeff did some good stuff in this match. And, yeah, I don't understand why the fuck Sheamus is getting the rematch.
There's one other thing that it's a commentary thing, and I'm going to make a quick note of this because I really kind of want to move on to other cool, fun stuff to talk about. But commentary made a comment where they're like, oh, it'd be a big step in Jeff Hardy's career in his age to win a title. First off, he's like 41. Other guys in their 40s, AJ Styles, Bobby Lashley, Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Those guys are fucking WWE tag team and US and like I mean, the thing is, guys in their 40s and older are still doing other things with the fucking like come on.
Yeah, he's 44. He's the same age as AJ Styles, who's 44. Edge is 47. You know, and so it's like just because you're in your 40s don't mean shit.
Exactly. I mean, for one, Jeff Hardy, he abused the living shit out of his body for a while. He's probably not going to be doing this much longer, but he's happy doing what he's doing, and he's kind of modified his moveset.
Yeah. I also really liked the respect between Jeff and Damian Priest after the match. I thought that was really cool. You don't get that a lot, and I really like that. But
I think the other reason why they didn't have Jeff fight Damian Priest on Raw, in his personal opinion, it would have been face versus face, and they would have turned on Damian Priest so fast.
Yeah, that's true.
The fans are so hard behind Jeff Hardy that had he fought Damian Priest, they would have turned on Damian Priest.
Fair enough. I guess, but still, I just don't get why Sheamus got like.
Yeah, and that's Sheamus. What I'm saying. If you're gonna do that, at least do like an open challenge and have like some other deal.
I hope Damian Priest broke his nose a third time. I'm just saying. All right, so we're gonna move on to the penultimate match of the evening. Becky Lynch defending against Bianca Belair for the Universal Women's Championship, ending in a no contest via disqualification because Sasha Banks over here coming back out and fucking shit up. But I feel like before that happened, I thought it was a pretty solid match.
It was a pretty solid match, and I was very... I'm not going to say upset with the way they ended this match. I was very taken back by the fact that they were like, hey, let's end this match with a disqualification.
Yeah, it's Extreme Rules, yet there's a disqualification? What?
Well, it's weird because in the hype package that they ran at the very beginning of the show, they said, tonight, 2 women, anything goes. It made every fan think that they were going to get like a no disqualification match there. Yeah. And then the match ends with a disqualification at a pay-per-view, which is called Extreme Rules.
Exactly. I don't know what they're doing.
For one match to have only been a stipulation match, technically, because the other one's a triple threat, and it's not technically a stip match.
Yes.
It's fucking bullshit. And the fans hated it. And they let the WWE know they hated it.
Yeah, no, like, if this pay-per-view was Backlash, nobody would care. Like, It would be totally fine. Okay, we got a main event. That's a stip match. Cool. Nobody would mind anything that happened. But because this is specifically Extreme Rules, and you're pulling this bullshit, nah, it's unforgivable, man.
Especially because Extreme Rules was birthed off of the dying version of One Night Stand.
Yeah.
Because it went from being One Night Stand to One Night Stand Extreme Rules.
Yeah.
And then it became Extreme Rules.
This is supposed to be their ECW pay-per-view, essentially.
Essentially, yeah. This is supposed to be the one night WWE goes extreme.
Yeah.
That was the tagline for years.
And, like, those first few years, every match was some sort of, like, hardcore match.
And like I said, even if not every match in this, and I understand you were like, yes, every match.
Though I would have been okay if, like, 3 of them had stips.
Yes. And that's what I'm saying. 3. Should have been 3. Because, I mean, essentially when they do Hell in a Cell, you get 2. When they do Money in the Bank, you get 2.
Yeah.
I'd be fine with 2 to 3.
They've done Hell in a Cell with 3 before.
Yeah.
So, like, you could, like, I'll be honest, you could have done had one of those 2 tag matches be a stip match and have it start. Then you could have had, I think, Charlotte Flair versus Alexa should have been a stip match of some sort. I really do. And then obviously the last one, and I probably wouldn't have been as mad then about the DQ in this Becky Lynch Bianca Belair match.
Honestly, let me tell you, if I was gonna do 3 steps, I would have done the New Day versus. No, I take that back. I'm gonna say I would have left the Kurt and Jericho alone. I would have made the second match, which was the tag title match, a tables match. Okay?
Ooh, okay.
Tag team title tables match. That would have been badass.
Oh yeah.
I would have flipped the order of the Becky Lynch match with the Charlotte and Alexa, and I would have made Charlotte and Alexa the second to last match.
Yeah.
And then the Becky versus Belair match would have been some kind of cool stip match where no disqualifications, because then when Sasha Banks interferes and attacks both women, it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
Because then this is what you do. She got the surprise attack anyway. You have her beat up both women bad enough that the ref instead stops the match.
Yeah, then it's a true no contest.
Yes,
yeah.
Then it's a true no contest. It's not like a... And then if you really want to play it off, you have her beat them down so bad, Montez Ford comes out to Belair.
Yeah.
And he's like, guys, come on. And like medics start coming out.
Seth comes out.
Stretchers, you have them carted off. You make it look legit.
Yeah.
You make...
Montez comes out. Seth Rollins comes out.
Dude, that would be badass.
Right?
You play it off.
Yeah.
They throw the X, the dreaded X. They make it look legit. And then Banks is standing there with the championship raised above her head, laughing.
Yeah.
Ha, 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 ha.
Dude, that would have been sick.
That's how you could have made that so much better. And at the same time, then Charlotte and Alexa go on in the semi-main event, and then that goes down, and then you go into Roman versus the Demon.
Yeah. Yeah. That would have been, dude, I think that would have been fantastic.
But this is why I'm not a booker, because I make sense.
True. Very, very true.
So, speaking of that, Roman versus the Demon. in an Extreme Rules match.
Yes, we finally get some Extreme Rules of some sort. And I gotta say, man, every time I hear that fucking theme from Finn Balor, oh, I love it. It's probably my favorite current theme.
Really?
Yeah, man. I get so fucking jacked. I get so jacked when I listen to that. Like, I'm over here, like it's going. I'm just like, dun, dun, bah, like I'm doing it as he's coming out and shit. Yeah. What? You got a problem with that?
Yeah.
What's yours?
Give me a second. Keep talking about your match.
Oh.
I'll tell you mine.
Yeah, I feel like first off, seeing the Demon again was great because I loved that.
I will say this: I thought he looked great.
Yeah, man.
Like
it was
the makeup
fantastic.
with the beard. I was like, God damn.
Yeah, man. He looked, dude. It was fantastic, and we talk Extreme Rules, right? He pulls out this fucking like taped up 4x4 kendo stick thing. I'm just like, I want that. Can I talk to the archive and see if I can buy that shit?
So to answer your question, good sir.
Oh, okay. All right, cut that. I don't want to get flagged.
Boom!
I mean, that's a good theme. It ain't as good as Baylor's theme. I'm just putting that out there. I don't care.
Your mouth goes shut.
Yeah, it does.
I will say this:
it's Finn Balor's and Shinsuke Nakamura's theme.
Oh, dude, Nakamura's theme. That is, I'm not gonna lie. That one still gets me pumped.
Those are my two, like, yeah.
Especially like the actual, like, I don't like the violin version they used for a while. I like this new electric guitar, like, damn.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I will say this. I think the main event was probably the best match of the night up until the ending.
Okay.
Whether or not that ending was staged or legit, I am thankful that Finn Balor did not get hurt.
Yeah, dude, no, there's no way that wasn't staged because I could understand, okay, he's standing on it or whatever, and then that one gives way, but all four sides looked to have gave way.
Yeah.
And, like, how, like, I don't know, man. There's no way it was.
To me, that wasn't a staged spot, but I'm hearing a lot of people be like, oh, it was legit. And I'm like, I don't know. I put enough rings together to know, just like you said, that shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, I feel like, nah. I mean, I guess it's a possibility, but I just don't buy that it was fake or that it was real. I mean, I just don't buy that it actually legitimately happened. And I think it was kind of lame. Like, I get, okay, so, Finn is out, and then we start getting the heartbeat, which I thought was kind of cool, and only a character like that can do it, and it's something I mentioned earlier. That's the kind of thing that only a character like that could do. Like, The Fiend could have done stuff like that, okay? And, the heartbeat, boom, 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 and then, boom, he's up. Okay, I buy that, because he's the demon. I get it. Okay, it works. And then he's in that mode, that demon mode. So it's like, okay, he's unstoppable. But then, he fell off the ring, or, he fell off the ropes. Oh, he's not the demon anymore. What? Come on. If this demon is that unstoppable, you really think him falling off the ropes is going to stop him? I don't think so. Like, come on, guys. Like, I just, it felt like they had no idea how to believably end this match for that, that's all they could come up with. And it was, that part of it was very disappointing. The whole, like, I liked the whole match up to that. I was really enjoying it.
And that's what I'm saying. That the ending is what ruined it for me. Yeah. It's kind of like almost a few months ago when he fought Kevin Owens in that last man standing match. Yeah. And he got handcuffed way too low and they couldn't get the guts off him. Dude, and they had to fuck up the ending.
Oh my God, that was so cringe. Like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my God, come on, just do it. Just fucking do it. Come on. Yep. It was so cringeworthy. The saving grace, I think, for this match is that there were so many fantastic spots throughout it.
Dude, one of my favorite spots
Almost
is
curious if it's the same.
The drop kick through the table.
Yes, dude, it was so sick, man.
Oh yeah,
like, oh my god, it's just like Finn just hitting that drop kick and fucking Roman just launching through that table. It was
that took a lot on Roman's effort to be able to launch himself in that aspect.
Yeah,
and to hit the table the way he did was, I mean, it's just such an amazing spot, and I was just like, God damn. Yeah. Kudos to Roman for that. Yeah. And he looked good in this match.
Oh yeah, man. Absolutely. I still don't like it when the Usos come out.
No.
It's just because it just makes me feel like
that's going to happen.
Yeah, I get why they do. They're a faction. They're family. They're the bloodline. They're going to make sure that the head of the table, that the tribal chief gets the win. I get it. But it always makes Roman look weaker to me.
Oh, every time.
He can't beat this guy on his own. That's the way it always looks. Thing.
And especially for like poor Finn, like luckily enough, like people came out to help him. But I'm like, typically he has no allies. Nobody would typically come out to help him.
Yeah, it's true. But outside of that ending, I thought it was, and I heard people, I saw people online being like, I don't want to hear anybody talk about that blown explosion spot on AEW ever again after this. I'm like, nah, that blown explosion spot was worse. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it really was, especially because poor, Eddie Kingston and John Moxley had to sell what they thought was going to be like huge.
Yeah. It's like, oh, we got some sparklers. No. Like,
I mean, I will say this. I have seen plenty of blown spots in professional wrestling.
Yes.
Whether or not it was planned, being aside from that, Finn took one hell of a bump off that. And it looked nasty. It looked fucking nasty.
Yeah.
I was legit for a second worried that he got hurt, knowing he's injury prone to start.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck. I was like, well, Finn just, there goes his chance.
The reason I am confident that it was not real because when he climbs up, he's like kind of like almost a little shaky, like he's trying to prepare himself for what's about to happen.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like he's not like he has been on the top rope hundreds of times.
True.
There's no way in my mind that I could believe that he would be even a little bit shaky on the top rope. He's a master up there.
True.
And I think it's because the way the rope is I don't know what the way it's like. Yeah, I guess, but the way it's just made so that it will fall like that was probably not as stable because it has to be able to drop or whatever.
True.
Whenever whoever hits the button. So it was probably not as stable, and you could see that with the way he was like trying to balance himself. I'm like, there's no way he can't just hop up there and balance himself without a problem. I just don't buy that. So, but that's what I caught. It's like how you caught the Alexa Bliss tablet thing that I didn't catch. I'm like, Finn's over here too wobbly for me.
Well, also the highlights I covered, like they showed to the top and then the ropes were just down.
Oh,
it's not like they really focus. You got to remember, highlight package is cut and go, and
yeah.
They're not focusing on like the 2 minutes spent on the top.
Well, that's because if you play a certain part for too long, they get flagged. So they have to have cuts every like 5 seconds or some shit like that. It gets kind of wild a lot of times. But that was Extreme Rules. What did you think about the overall event?
Overall, it wasn't a horrible pay-per-view. It's not the worst one I've ever seen them put on.
Do you want to do our stats for this? I know we didn't like really talk about it all that much, but if you do some last,
I'd give it probably out of everything, probably like 3.5 boots.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Do you have any like best worst moments like those stats like we used to do? MVP
from the highlights I saw, I would probably say. I know this is going to be like, well, let's go best match of the night. That tag team match between the Usos and the Street Profits. That match definitely from just the highlights I saw got me pumped.
Dude, it was a fantastic match.
Like Montez Ford hit a really high fucking frog splash and sold the shit out of his ribs.
Yeah, man. Okay. He hits it and he flips off of him.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Yeah, that was a great.
That match really got me pumped. Yeah. Worst match of the night, I'd probably have to go with that. It's because of the ending, too. Becky Lynch and Belair.
Yeah, because it was like, I don't think there was a bad match. Overall bad match at all. But yeah, I didn't like that. And even though I didn't like the ending of the Extreme Rules match, the rest of the match was phenomenal.
Yeah.
You know.
And I mean, like, the match, like I said, the match wasn't bad, but that ending for the DQ on a match that easily could have had a better version of that happen. Yeah. That's why I'm gonna downgrade that match.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Let's see, MVP of the night. You know, I'm gonna give it to somebody I typically probably like. I'm gonna go with a tie on this one.
Okay,
there's a tie on this for a reason, though. I'm gonna go with the lower side of the tie, which is the Damian Priest.
All right,
stepping up and showing why he deserves to be the United States champion right now.
Fair enough.
He worked his ass off in that triple threat, and you can't change my mind either way. And then the top half of the tie to Roman Reigns.
Oh, okay.
For putting on one fuck of a match with the Demon and that sick fucking bump through the table.
Yeah. See, I'm the other side. I picked Finn. I was picking Finn Balor for my MVP. Just getting in there and, in my opinion, outshining the current champ. You know,
that's fair. I mean, it doesn't take much to outshine Roman Reigns.
And dude, he
polish a penny and it outshines him.
He got destroyed through a table too.
He did,
like by the Usos.
No,
and I just mean fucking destroy. That table was in so many pieces. It was ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that was definitely on my side. Do you have a moment of the night from what you saw? I do, and I'd be shocked if it's not the same, but.
I'm gonna have to go with that drop kick through the table.
Yes, thank you.
I mean, like,
as soon as I saw that happen, as soon as I saw that, I was like, "Oh, that's my moment right there."
I mean,
all the way.
My moment. I mean, it's I mean, there wasn't any real big moments of the night. There was no excitement.
Yeah,
like that
good wrestling.
That table though, really. Yeah. I was watching the highlights. I started watching the highlights at work. And came home and finished them. I put YouTube up on my TV, and I saw that dropkick though, and I was like, "Holy fuck!" I was like, "Damn!"
Yeah. It was intense. It was intense. But so that, folks, that is the show. It was a long one, but we had a lot to talk about. It's been a while, so we needed to really catch up with you guys. So John, let everybody know where they can find you on the interwebs.
You can find me here on Twitter, right here at Simply Sane J1. That is the Twitter that corresponds with my podcast, Simply Sane with J. If you're not listening to it, you should listen to it. And if you don't want to listen to it, go over to, there's a link to it now, to my blog. That's right. I have a blog since the last time you guys listened. It's also called Simply Sane with Jay, just because, one works with the other, this, that, and the other. Pretty cool shit.
And he can share all kinds of weird and crazy stuff on there.
I'm sharing a lot of shit about my past on my blog. It's where I can get more emotional and be vulnerable, and I can turn my Twitter back into focusing on, pushing both of those and the podcast about How I Met Your Mother and Off the Ropes. And I can take my Facebook and just kind of make it about me again. And not have to worry about what I'm doing with it. Josh, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at JP Raynor. That's JPRAYNOR, as well as right down there at Movie Blog Merc. That is the Twitter page for my site, Merc with a Movie Blog. And of course, right here on Off the Ropes with John and Josh. Follow us on Twitter at Off the Ropes JJ. If you like to speak your own mind, leave us a voice message on anchor.fm/offtheropesjj. You can see that right down there at the bottom. And you can leave us a voice message. We actually had somebody do that on our How I Met Your Mother podcast, and we played it on air. It was really cool. So we will play your message as long as it's, appropriate. Don't be douchebags.
And if you're
on the
watching
air
this on YouTube, don't
Yes.
forget to hit the subscribe button.
That's right.
Smash the like button.
Fucking
and
A.
click that little bell so that every time we post a video, you guys get updates. Because who doesn't want to get it updated about Off the Ropes with John and Josh?
That's right. You wanna know everything that's happening. And if you wanna get some more content, some more personalized content, check us out on Patreon.
Hell yeah.
Patreon.com/offroadjj.
Even if you don't see something on there you like, reach out to us on Facebook or Twitter.
Yeah.
Speak with us. We're willing to work with people on stuff. We've had a couple people message us and offer to do things, and we're like, okay, well, we're more than willing to do the weirdest reviews, watch things, review it. But honestly, we're not asking for hundreds of dollars. We literally asked for $10 to do a match review.
Yeah, well, it was for a full pay-per-view thing. It was a watch-along.
Yeah.
I was that's a lot of time.
Watch-along of an entire pay-per-view, and we were like, $10.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I can't spend $10.
And it's well,
guys, we're not asking to get rich. We're just asking for a little bit of compensation for taking time out of our lives to sit down with you and enjoy pay-per-views or a match or shit. If you just want to do a 3-way video chat with us and talk about wrestling, we're down for that.
Absolutely. So, that about wraps up everything over on this side of the video stream. This has been Off the Ropes with John and Josh. I am Josh.
I'm John.
And we are down for the count. Catch you guys next time.
Peace.